Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, thanks.
Good morning. Clarissa, can you hear me?
Good morning. Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
No, that's okay. It's first time using my new headset, so I just want to make sure.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds great.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions at this time before we start? Or any ahas that they want to go over from any of the other classes? Hi, Cassie.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thanks.
Are you getting us live on Facebook?
Yep.
Oh, awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and make you co-host so you still
Okay.
have all the options.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, Heidi, I'm about to put you live on Facebook and then you'll be all set, and just shoot me an email if you need anything, okay?
Thanks, Cassie.
Thanks, Heidi.
Well, you guys are a quiet bunch this morning. All right, so I'm going to put it out there. Somebody tell me something good that they've done in the last 4 days to move their business forward.
Practicing the scripts and picking up the phone.
Oh, it wasn't that heavy?
It wasn't. It
Imagine
wasn't.
that. Yeah.
Exactly.
When I
So-
started 9 years ago, this thing, well, not this one, but another one weighed like
Mm-hmm.
5,000 tons.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great, Joanna. I love to hear that. How about somebody else? What have you done in the past 4 days to move your business forward? I know one thing that you all have done.
Attending class.
There you go. You started Ignite. Exactly. Lead gen and DTD2. I love it. Has anybody made any a connection that they've gotten a referral, or have you done anything that you've gotten a lead from? All right. Has anybody had a phone call where they were asked a question that they didn't know how to answer or they were unsure of? How did you handle that? Good morning, Donna.
Hello, Heidi.
Good.
How are you?
How are you?
Good. When I went to the market center yesterday, the only thing that you had in your mail was some kind of magazine that everyone else in the world got. So I figured it was okay. Sarah helped me, so I figured it was okay to. I didn't think you were going to die, pass out.
No, thank you. You
No
saved
problem
me.
at all. But there was nothing else in there. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really excited about this class, I have to say.
I can tell because you blinged it up with the clothes.
Yes, I have my Minnie Mouse, my sparkly Minnie Mouse shirt on this morning.
Love it. Oh, look who's coming to join us. Oh, he's just going to sit in on the edge.
You got a helper there.
Say hi to Heidi. Hey, say hi to Heidi. That's Leo.
Hey, Leo.
Leo's a feisty one. He's 10 months old.
Ah,
Leo could say hi to Jack.
Hi, Jack. Oh, that's funny. Hi, Jack.
Hey, Jack loves Zoom.
I think they love the laptop. It's
They
hilarious.
do.
It's ridiculous because you cannot get anything done.
I
oh, and
know.
now we got a dog too.
Oh,
Where's yours? Bring them in. Bring them in.
No, mine are in.
Oh,
No, that mine
crazy.
are in timeout. They can't behave themselves.
No, he can't either. He's probably going to go to. Although, look at him now. He's trying to behave.
Well, we're slowly getting people in here. We're up to 35 now.
That's usually what happens. You're going to go to 35, from 35 to 35 within seconds.
Darius posted in the chat that he posted on Facebook and messaged someone who, he did a post on Facebook and messaged someone who liked it, which is going through the approval to buy, I'm guessing.
I have a question.
Okay,
So I have a buyer who is waiting for approval right now. Should I wait for the approval to come back before we set a consultation with them, or
No.
should I do that?
no, set it now. Do it now. Because, I'm sorry, your name was Caitlin, right?
Yes.
Caitlin, even if it doesn't come back approved now, doesn't mean that it won't come back approved later. And this is really good practice for you. So I just told another agent in my office the same thing yesterday. Do not wait for an approval to come back. You do your buyer presentation and get your mandatory relationship, depending on what state you're in. Get whatever form signed that you need to get signed.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I had, quick story here. I had an agent in one of my market centers. I work for the Cranston, Rhode Island and Newport, Rhode Island market centers. And one of my agents in the Newport Market Center was getting a client pre-approved. She was waiting on the pre-approval, and then her client went and got pre-approved through another lender, found a condo on her own, and put an offer in on her own, and it got accepted. So that just cut that buyer agent right out of the deal because she hadn't done her buyer presentation before the approval came back. So I am looking for somebody, and I don't know if he's here. Let's see. Sam, are you here? Sam Alpern?
Good boy.
Okay. All right, well, it looks like I'm the only coach on the call for right now.
Do we need more than that?
Yeah,
No.
I need somebody to read the chat. So
Tim
I
will
can,
pop up anytime, I'm telling you.
yeah, okay, all right. So
Funny man.
we're gonna get going. I'm sure some of you have seen me on this before. I've been coach and chat monitor. My name is Heidi Kelly, and as I said, I am a PC coach with the Cranston, Rhode Island office and the Newport, Rhode Island office. I've been in real estate for exactly 9 years this Saturday. It's my anniversary date. I left my job 9 years ago on a Friday, and I started in Ignite on Monday. And I haven't looked back. I've done everything from working, production with buyers and sellers, to being a mentor, to being a trainer, to being a coach. And now I do a little bit of all of that together. Does it make my schedule crazy? Absolutely. I think my passion is probably training, teaching. I really enjoy this. And I think I'm fairly good at it, but I'll leave you guys to make that judgment after this. Since I am the only one on this morning, I would ask if anybody has any questions, if you could actually verbalize them instead of putting them in the chat, because I'm not going to be able to see it once I open up the PowerPoint. Okay.
Do you want me to monitor the chat while you do that until someone else shows up?
Donna, that would be fabulous.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, then I'm going to close my chat. Close that. And we're going to get going. So let me just share my screen.
Good morning, Heidi. I'm here.
Oh, hey, Tim. Thank you very much. I'm not sure where my coach is for today. I don't think he's shown up yet.
Tim's gonna steal my thunder now.
I think everybody's all set with my thunder. I'll park it. Don't worry.
No, I told Heidi I would monitor the chat until another coach showed up, and then you appeared like magic.
You conjured me up like Darth Vader. I would love for you to monitor the chat. That'd be fine.
I would be happy to do so.
Yes. Amen.
Awesome. Okay, so everybody, welcome to your welcome to your 9th day in Ignite. Today is a day in the life of a real estate agent. And I have to say, this is probably my second or third favorite class to teach. My real favorite is the first one because it's all about mindset. But But I like this one too, because this goes through the mechanics of what every agent or every successful agent should be doing in their business every single day. So we're going to start off with this page here, which I'm sure all of you remember very, very well. You've looked at it for the past 9 days. The goal here today is to be able to model what successful agents do every day and to show you how to go about doing it. So we work on growing our business and running our business. And they're two different ways of working our business in real estate. Growing our business is, it's cultivating. It's generating leads. It's doing listing presentations, buyer presentations, previewing houses on MLS to see what's out there and knowing what the market is doing in your area. Running your business is everything else. That's the day-to-day tasks that you have. So that might be marketing a seller's listing, showing buyers property, negotiating a contract, doing some sort of transaction management for closing, any sort of vendor management that you might be doing, connecting with a home inspector, a closing attorney, a contractor, setting goals, any sort of compliance or risk management. If you forgot to sign off on something on your paperwork, you'll get it sent back from the office and you'll have to remedy that. Attending any trainings or coaching, and then of course, managing your money. So today we're going to bring it all together and really take a look at what a successful agent does to structure their day, because structure is a key point in here. It can't be all, flying by the seat of your pants. There's got to be structure in there, or else you'll end up dropping a lot of balls, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to talk about growing and running our business, and we're going to revisit our 411. You're going to update your goals, and you're going to develop an accountability system to be able to achieve these goals. So let me just ask, before we get into this any further, how many people here, just by, I can't see all of you, so just say yes, have an accountability partner that they have connected with?
Yes.
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 3,
Yes.
4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. I love hearing it. Okay. For
Wow.
those of you that don't have an accountability partner, I strongly suggest that you see if you can find one here in your group that you can pair up with, because you're going to want to be there to support each other. And if you don't find someone here in your group, then maybe you can go to your PC coach in your market center or your team leader and see if they could connect you with an accountability partner. I found out as a new realtor when I started that the accountability partner was good for me, because I really needed somebody that was going to hold me accountable without judging me. So I don't recommend using, a husband or a wife or, an adult child. Use somebody and connect with somebody that is in the same boat as you, that you're both looking to do the same thing. It makes it a lot easier. All right, so on this slide, a day in the life of a real estate agent, we're going to be, as I said, talking about growing your business and running your business, setting weekly and daily objectives, and creating accountability. So why do you think it's important to set daily and weekly objectives?
Keeps you on
Because
track.
Track your progress and your goals.
To track your progress and your goals. Okay, what else?
because
If you don't set goals, you won't achieve them.
Good, okay.
also when you make them,
Go ahead,
when
Vilma.
when you make them small too, you can see, you can really track them down.
Okay. How would you do that if you had big goals?
You can break them into.
There you go. There you go. Right. So they don't have to be small goals. They can be big goals, but they can be
Yeah.
broken down into smaller goals to help you reach that. Why else do we set daily and weekly objectives?
To set good habits.
Good habits, Jessica. Bingo. Yeah. That's like a number one thing, is setting good habits. And we're going to be talking about that in further on in today's class. So we're also going to be talking about in setting these weekly and daily objectives and building this habit. Do you think your daily 10-4 is part of building that habit?
Yes.
Yeah, because what are you doing with that? You've got 4 things. You're lead generating, adding to your database. What else?
Making personal connections by sending out letters.
Note cards or, yep.
And then you're knowing your market by doing your previews.
Right. So all of that is starting to build a habit towards what successful agents do every single day. So this quote here, people do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. What does this tell us about how to cultivate success for ourselves?
Create good habits.
Right. Start creating those good habits. Yep. So we're going to develop a plan today on how to use your time effectively to fulfill the company mission. Who knows what the company mission is for Keller Williams? Does anybody know what the company? I'll get it started. To build a career worth having,
a business worth owning, and a life worth living.
And there's 2 more.
Shoot. You got me.
Experiences worth giving and a legacy worth leaving. Yes. So to build a career worth having, businesses worth owning, a life worth living, experiences worth giving, and a legacy worth leaving. And starting habits now, that's going to create the future that you want for yourself. So by the end of the module, we're going to make sure that we've updated our 411. You've time blocked in your calendar, and you've developed an accountability plan for yourself to be shared with your accountability partner when you have one or when you choose to get one. Okay. So on this slide, we start at the beginning of the day. You should get motivated by reviewing your goals and your plan for the day. So what are some of the things that you do in the morning to get yourself motivated to face your day?
Drink coffee.
Drink coffee. Absolutely, Karen.
Ha! I script practice.
Script practice. What else?
Cool shower.
A cool shower. Okay.
If I can make a recommendation, if you don't have an 8 o'clock block that you're doing something, I think the James Shaw Pivot Shift Ahead call is phenomenal. You get to be on Zoom. It's Pivot Shift Ahead, pivotshiftcall.com. And it's also on the Facebook page for Pivot Shift Ahead. Just look up James Shaw. He's a MAPS coach, and he's phenomenal. And he's 15-20 minutes or so, and you get to hear from everybody around the country. And I think it's a great use of your time. If you don't have a morning huddle with your market center, I would put my face there.
It's a good call to be on.
Do your script club, do your script stuff with your partner at 7:45 if you need to.
Is it pivot shift to what?
I'll double check on the link, and I'll put up the link for the page for you guys to join too. It's 8 o'clock Monday through Friday.
Pivot Shift Ahead. If you just Facebook Pivot Shift Ahead, it should pop up. It's like 80,000 members. You'll see all the Facebook streaming live daily. They do a daily call at 8 a.m.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Matt.
Thank you. What else? I meditate in the morning.
I try and work out in the morning if I can, but a lot going on right now.
I have music that I listen to, specific music.
Specific music. Okay.
I start my morning with my daily affirmations while I'm brushing my teeth and taking my morning vitamins.
I love it. Affirmations are fabulous. What else?
Just a routine in general, like waking up and doing the same thing every morning to get you going and not letting yourself sleep in too late.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So at the beginning of the day, you should be getting motivated to review your goals and plan your day. Successful agents make time every day for the activities that they've been doing during the daily success habits. So when you take a look at this schedule for this agent here, he or she has morning motivation time built in there. And then they start their daily lead generation from 8:30 to 11:30. Why do we suggest that you do it in the morning?
It's when you have the most energy.
Right, the most energy. Yep. What else?
I think it'd be too.
That's when you're likely to get a hold of someone.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. Yep.
It can
And I
set
think
your
it-
day up for appointments.
What, Jessica?
I said it can set your day up for appointments if you don't have anything planned.
Absolutely. Okay, I think it was Mary.
Yes, yeah. I think it'd be too, for me, it'd be too easy to let the day get away from me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mary, you're speaking my language. So in one of the other classes earlier this week, I typed in a book called Eat That Frog. So people that lead generation phone calls may not be the thing that you wake up to every morning going, oh my God, I'm so excited to be able to do lead generation again. I couldn't sleep last night because I was so excited to do this. I don't know too many people that are like that. So when you have something that you don't necessarily look forward to doing or feel comfortable doing, getting it done the first thing in the morning sets your entire day for you.
Yes. Yes.
You get it done. You've
Yeah.
just powered through that, whatever it was that made you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right now, mine happens to be writing a thesis paper, but you power through it, you get through it, and then the rest of the day just looks like sunshine and puppies,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think back, I'm sorry, just one thing. I remember a beautiful quote, Eleanor Roosevelt, do one thing every day that scares you.
yes, absolutely.
So,
What a smart lady she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all good points about why we should be doing lead generation first thing in the morning. Successful agents, they don't just stop at lead generation and follow up. They keep doing it every single day. They're doing their phone calls. They're doing their social media posts. They're doing maybe they're in DTD3 if they're not in Ignite, or DTD2. Does anybody know what I just said there with DTD2 or 3? Do the database 2, meaning, your market center may offer it 2 days a week. I offer it 3 days a week in mine. So it's DTD3. And that's to me, that's your easy lead generation, because you're contacting the people that know you, that like you, and that want to help you be successful, which is your database. You put your time between growing your business and running your business, and you have to do that every single day, which means you need to have these key activities on your schedule every single day. So once you're done with lead generation, your day isn't over. You're not going to, nap the rest of your day or spend the rest of your day watching TV. You're going to have other parts of your business in there. So growing the business activities include marketing, making seller presentations, making buyer presentations, previewing real estate. What are some of the things or activities that would be considered running your business?
Taking clients to appointments.
Follow-ups.
Okay. Well, follow-ups can be part of the grow your business.
Oh, okay.
Keeping track of your expenses.
Yeah, tracking your expenses, taking clients to appointments.
Listing presentations.
Doing a listing presentation. Doing a buyer presentation with a client.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
So this is more of a schedule for like a veteran agent, I would say. So as, you know, a new agent, I mean, just lead generating for 2 hours a day, wouldn't you triple or double that amount of time, since you first have to get the business in order to do all of these other things?
I think I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to say it back to you. So you're saying a new agent would be lead generating that 2 hours a day, 2 or 3 hours a day. And you're saying that you don't feel that there's anything else for the new agent to be doing?
Right. I mean, because they don't have all these other things to do, like taking people to appointments, listings, and things like that. So
Mhm.
I feel
I-
like majority of the day should be spent lead generating, whether it's, you know, advertising or, you know, running campaigns or just cold calling.
So Vivian, absolutely, you can spend your day lead generating for 6 hours, 8 hours a day if that's what you choose to do. But there are other things in real estate that you need to learn. So if you don't have clients that you're doing buyer presentations for or listing presentations for, couldn't you end up creating them, working on creating them, and then maybe practicing them with your accountability partner?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think training and practicing your scripts is definitely a huge part of it, for sure. But
Absolutely. What
um,
about taking classes?
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
Heidi, I hear what Vivian's saying, and I think more to her point, and I think Heidi was making the point as well, is the growing agent who's just getting started might remain in lead generation all day. The concern is, and what Gary's point here is making sure that you don't say, well, I don't have any clients and I can't get started until my website's perfect. So I'm going to work on my website for the next 3 months and never do any lead generation.
Right.
So I think carving out the time in which your face might be on appointments in the future to make sure you're working on those marketing pieces and working on marketing collateral in the afternoon, but never ignoring it in the morning to only work on one thing. Stay in the habit of, while I don't have any appointments, I can go back to lead generation, or I can work on some social media stuff.
Yes.
But the mornings should always be an entire commitment to lead generation, no matter what. So Vivian, I'll challenge you with the question: what do you think a mega agent is doing today? Right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be lean and mean on lead generation. So we all know exactly what a mega agent would do for activities and how they would behave, because we've seen it in our market centers and all around us. So what's keeping us from behaving like a mega agent today? Dead silence. Perfect. Nothing. Exactly. Like,
Right.
so that's Gary's point with this, right? It's
Right.
just creating that safe space for the proper activities to take place throughout the day. But I understand where you're coming from. You could lead gen all day, and I would encourage that if you're that insane. And if you are, that's awesome. You should write a book, because it would be a bestseller.
Exactly.
And Ryan would like to know if you can explain a little bit more about what an accountability partner is and how do we find one?
Great. Good question, Ryan. So you're here with, I don't know how many people are on the call, but you're here with, do we have over 100?
124 in the room right now.
Okay, so we have 124 people that you could ask, hey, do you want to be my accountability partner and I'll be yours? So an accountability partner is just somebody that you work with. I did it once a day, first thing in the morning. It was a quick 10, 15-minute phone call just to check in on the goals and the habit that I set for the week and if I was following through with them. So my accountability partner and I met once a day at 7:30 in the morning for a quick phone call. We turned it into accountability and script practice together eventually, but in the beginning, it was just accountability. So I might call Tim and say, okay, Tim, hey, it's Heidi. I'm just checking in to see how your day went yesterday. You said that you were going to do A, B, and C. Did you get
Love it.
those done?
Yeah, if I could make a recommendation too, I think obviously with the connectivity we have now with Zoom, and with, if you guys are jumping in tomorrow for your first time with James Shaw, if you start to make connections around the country, I think it's a wise move, and Heidi might agree with me, maybe she won't, to probably, if you can, keep them out of your immediate interpersonal sphere. Because if Heidi and I are working side by side, and we went to cockteenies.com last night, and it was a late night, I'm like, I'm not going to call her at 7:45. She's probably sleeping. And you can't wait to let each other off the hook. So I would even maybe pick 2 people, have that script partner for 7:45 in the morning. So Heidi and I are getting on 15 minutes. She works on a script. I work on a script. You give each other a few objections and then the win, and then you're off for the day. And then I've invited my agents here at 463 to get a 5 at 5. And what that means at 4:55 every day, I'm calling Jessica Darling and saying, hey, Jessica, how's it going? It's Timmy. You said yesterday you were getting the price reduction on Maple. You were going to add 22 people to your database and maybe something else. And that way you're the script partner, because if you make that the same person and you start to let that person off the hook, now you've lost all accountability. You're not scripting in the morning. You're not checking in at night. It may sound like a lot of work. Welcome to real estate. It's all a lot of work. So I would probably have that be 2 separate people. And I think that might be beneficial moving forward. So have the script partner in the morning and the accountability buddy doing the 5 at 5 with you at 4:55 every day, just to close out the day, to remind your face to go home to your family if you're working from brick and mortar somewhere other than your house. And then at the same time, just knowing I'm accountable to this call at 4:55. And I need to get these things done. And if you don't get it done, if you erase it, you have to replace it. It needs to get done the next day. And find the person that's really going to hold you accountable. If they want to be successful, they're going to hold you to the fire.
I have a question about the schedule.
Mhm.
From what I know of real estate agents in the field, like out in the wild, this schedule of 5:30 to 9:30 being family time is like fantasy. How do you balance that? Because that was one of the things that made me not want to go into real estate. I was like, I have a family. I do not want to work nights and weekends all weekend, every night. And that's kind of what I see all of my friends doing. So, people want to do open houses after work. They want to view houses after work. They want to meet for contract signing after work. So how do you balance that?
Jessica, I think what my mentor taught me at the beginning was you teach people how to treat you. So in other words, you're going to train your buyers or your sellers, and you're going to say to them, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, these are the hours that I am available. And that's that. I am not available from 5 p.m. on a Wednesday night or 5 p.m. on a Friday night. You can't get in touch with me. You can email me and I will get back to you the next day. But you treat people the way you teach people to treat you the way you want to be treated. So you set your own schedule and let them know what that is. I tell all of my coaching clients, do not contact me after 8 o'clock at night. I'm not going to answer.
She's at cocktini.com with me at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, there it is. So let me say this concerning that. Heidi makes such a great point. And I appreciate that you're seeing people out in the wild, as you put it, Jessica, which I love. Yeah, you know what? Most of us joined this industry for 2 reasons. We wanted to control our calendar and our checkbook. And I would invite you to act accordingly, right? You left a 9 to 5 that you probably didn't love to come to a 25-hour-a-day job. No, that's not the case, right? So you get to run your schedule, and without fail, there are going to be nights that, yes, over the summer when the sun sets at 8:45, you're going to be showing houses after dinner. Should that be a consistent thing? No. Will you bend and not break for some people? For sure. There's going to be ebb and flow. We did this on our morning quick start here in Portsmouth this morning. We do it in trainings quite a bit. Gary always argues that there is no such thing as a balanced work life. There's balancing, right? So if you feel the need to do this right now, you don't have to. I invite you to stand up. And if you're willing to stand up, stand on 1 foot. And if you do this exercise, you know what you're doing. You're not balanced. You're constantly balancing. All your fast twitch muscles are firing and you're shaking back and forth a little bit. That's what's always going on. Jack Welch made a great comment. He passed away in the last year. If you know him, he's the CEO from GE. And he was at a huge forum, and somebody asked from the crowd if he believed in work-life balance. And he used a French word that sounded like bullshit. And he's like, no, it's not a thing. It's just not a thing. Our life is a constant ebb and flow of decisions we're making. Sometimes our family will come first, and sometimes our business will come first. It's knowing which one comes ultimately first overall, right? So when you are going home at 5 o'clock, and there's nothing for you to do, then don't respond to the text. And setting that standard, as Heidi said, we are in lead generation in the morning. Don't come knocking on our door. And if you call me between 9 and 11, Mr. Lindsay, we're not going to return your call because we're looking for sellers and buyers. for our ecosystem, for our company. So I appreciate that you see all these other agents behaving like agents. They're always running late. There's always a broken heel. Their hair is always a mess, and they've got so much to do. That doesn't need to be you. And it's foundationally how you start to build your schedule right now and holding yourself to that schedule, right? And I think that's wildly important. It doesn't have to be maniacal every day. And because other people are doing that, don't fall into that trap.
My business partner is maniacal.
Yeah, well,
We're out to kill it. So
and
that's,
you're not,
I'm
and
like
you're not
looking-
them. So show them the other way to do it, right? Show them you can manage your life, right?
I'm hoping that me going into the team is going to kind of calm things down a little bit for her.
Well, and you make a great point. I think when people join a team, they think that everyone on the team is there to be leverage for the team lead. You're all leverage for each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we were truly in a work-life balance, and this is the best way to answer this question, if there was a perfect work-life balance, then that would be the contention that 26 weeks out of the year, you're on vacation with your family.
Oh,
Is
that
that a
sounds
thing?
excellent. I like
Does
that.
anybody do that? Does
No.
anybody do that? No,
Won't make any
I'll be at the
money.
Cape for 1 week in July. And that's 168 hours that my family can tolerate. Then they send me back to the office, right?
Into the
Yeah.
wild.
Yes, back to the wild. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Hope
think
that helps.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If she makes herself not available on the weekends, it's going to become an issue for her. And if you're starting, why don't you do every other week? That way you have 1 weekend, 2 weekends for your family and 2 weekends for the work.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a suggestion.
Well, I'm being an executive administrator, so I have to work whenever my partner works. But it's okay. I was just, curious.
Everybody needs to find what works for them and what fits into the time that they have allotted for it. So if you allot a certain time for family time, then that should be a non-negotiable. You do have to be somewhat flexible, as Tim said, during different times when we are a little bit more busy here in the wild than what we are, right now. But it all seems to work its way out as long as you're willing to be flexible and have your clients understand if they're, let me just give you a quick story. So it was my wedding day, 2014. And I was working with they were a buyer and a seller, and I forget what side we were doing right now. I think it was the selling side. No, the buying side. So I got a phone call that morning from him, and he wanted to go over some stuff. And I said, okay, not a problem. It's my wedding day. And I'm doing real estate business. And my wife is in the back room, or I'm in the back room, and I can hear her yelling, "Oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you're not." And my client says, "Who's yelling? Oh, no, you're not." And I said, "Well, that would be the woman that I'm getting married to today." He said, "Oh my God, it's your wedding? Why the hell did you answer the phone?" I'm like, "Because you called me." At that point, I learned when not to answer the phone.
Right. Well, and again, back to Vilmer's point, and I appreciate that. Rather than having an entire weekend off, when I was in production, I just knew that I was going to be, if I had my son's lacrosse and I was going to be, or we're going to be away on a Sunday for like a mountain bike race, that was the day that I was off the bricks, and the other day I was doing open houses and working with clients, and just splitting it that way. I guess ultimately we want to look at it, and I've had agents that have done real brilliant things, like just ask their family for permission.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be MIA for the next 365 days and Gary has talked about this, because I'm going to be building something, right? We have to slow down to pick up speed. I'll be tightening bolts. I'm going to be putting together foundational pieces of my business. The next year is probably going to suck on ice, and I'll be back with more leverage than I've ever had in my professional life. And getting permission and commitment from your family to support you in that. Because then if, like, during that 2 weeks in, I'm playing golf 2 days in a row, my wife would be like, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be building the foundation?" Right? And get permission from your family to be where you need to be to insulate your family's greatness moving forward.
Yeah.
No, the schematic is not the same for everyone. The map is not the territory. Right.
Yep.
Right. I would also say, Jessica, maybe not, if we leave a job where someone else sets a schedule for us and is like 9 to 5 every day, this is what your hours, this is what you work. I would look at it, or I did look at it as, I did set my own schedule. And some days it was that schedule said that I worked from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. But then the days where I needed to, because I had, there was a dance recital or someone, on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock, I need to be here. So I could move that around. So maybe I would suggest maybe not looking at it as you need to set yourself in, into this box of it's going to be at 9 to 5 every day, but that this week, when I look at my schedule, it could be that it's going to be 2 days like that. And then I'm going to have, other days where I'm going to have to move my schedule around and be flexible. But that is what you get to do as a real estate agent, because that is the flexibility that we get. Some weekends we're going to see buyers all weekend. I left my family at the beach on 4th of July to go show a house because I needed to do that to get that house sold. But I left, I was gone for 3 hours. I went back home, put my bathing suit back on, and then went back to the beach and enjoyed the rest of the weekend. So I would just suggest maybe not looking at it as you need to set yourself ingrained in that same 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever every day, and give yourself the grace to know that it's going to change, but that's okay.
I love working, and I don't even really see it as work. It's kind of like just my life flow. But I definitely, like I said, with other agents, I'm like, I see them they're working so hard, and for some of them it is work.
Mm-hmm.
So
they've made their career a job. They came here for a career and they're making it a job again.
Yeah,
I think if you have an opportunity to read the chat, Heidi, Page at 934 put a great paragraph in and talked about making your time with your family more valuable, more fulfilling as opposed to spending time. And I love this reference point of, are you spending time with your family or investing time with your family?
Yeah.
Right. Rather than sitting on the couch and watching TV together, could it be a board game? Could it be going for a hike? Could it be doing something where there's more interaction? It's brilliant. Thanks, Paige.
Good. That's good.
Awesome.
I'd like to ask the question regarding teams versus going in independently. What do the coaches recommend for new agents? Is it worth seeking the ability to join a team, or is it best to just go in strong as an individual?
So I'll tell you what Jen Bovey told me when an agent asked this of me a couple of months ago. And she said, if the agent wants to have a position that is a job-like experience where you're expected to be there and show up on certain days at certain times to do certain tasks, then that's what a team would be for. That it's a job. If the agent wants to be more independent and make their own schedule, then stay an individual agent.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think Heidi makes a great point to what Heidi and Bovey were saying. Everyone's an independent contractor. As soon as I decide I'm going to be part of the Heidi Kelly group, I have to understand I'm relinquishing some of that freedom, a great deal of it, quite honestly, and that's the commitment to the team. I would argue that everyone that can hear the sound of my voice between right now and the end of time at Keller Williams is either going to start or join a team, because we talk about leverage so much. I think you're eventually going to, and it doesn't mean that you'll have 50 salespeople on your team like Lance Loken, but you're going to drag in some operational help at some point. It can't just be you and a cup of coffee and your cat. You'll lose your mind, right? And at the same time, maybe being that missing piece, because everybody has their different lead initial in the DISC assessment and the KPA, and really the puzzle piece that they become for themselves or for somebody else is interesting to explore. What I say to my agents here at our market center, and we put a mentorship program in place up here because I wanted to have that opportunity to date before they rush into what could be a bad marriage, is exhaust the opportunity of you, right? It's never too late to join a team. And if you join a team and it's not a fit, it's a business decision to step away. I think you have to ask yourself, what benefit do I bring to the team? What benefit does the team bring to me? And are you seeking the nest to sit in so they can spit worms in your mouth? Gross analogy, but you'll never forget it. Or are you seeking a place to be an entrepreneur? Are you seeking a place to go be an empire builder? Are you going to be a foundational piece of this team or a strong piece of this team, where you're simply going to find a place to be back in an employment conversation, which might have been what you were trying to escape? So it's a great point that Bovey and Heidi just made.
And when you join a team, it's not forever. You haven't, signed away your life in blood saying that you have to stay on this team. A team is a great place for if a newer agent is looking to build good skill sets and habits and learn from a rainmaker that has been doing this for years. It's a great opportunity. But there are pros and cons with it, just like there is everything. So you need to assess what is more important in your life right now. And if you choose to join a team and it's a good fit, which I hope it will be, it doesn't mean you're going to be on that team forever. You may stay on it for a few years and then leave, or you could be very happy with it and stay on it for your real estate career.
And Heidi, if I could just add to that. So I started in the business back on August 1st and was a solo agent with a different brokerage. And actually, I'm just coming over to Keller Williams now and joining a team. And for me, it boils down to personality, know thyself. And so I wasn't really indoctrinated into exactly what it would take to be successful in this business, especially with respect to lead generation, what I needed to do on a daily basis to bring business in. And what I also really suck at is holding myself accountable. And I know that despite all my years of experience, so I kind of know what I have to do, but I just, wasn't doing it because I wasn't being pushed to do it. I think joining a team for me, that's really the key ingredient is I know I'm going to be held accountable. I know other people are depending on me. I know people are looking at my numbers. And if embarrassment to me is important. I don't want to risk that. So I want to contribute. And I had interviewed a veteran agent before, just as I was getting into the business. She said, you know what, Matt? For me, the biggest regret I have is I didn't join a team when I first got started in the business. So there are pros and cons. The other thing I think with a team, if it's a good team, they have vision and they know that the industry is incredibly competitive. I mean, just look at all the agents on this call. And, if you're a solo agent and you're trying to compete, it's incredibly difficult. So it's an individual decision, obviously. But for me, I feel really good about going into the team environment right now.
And that's great, Matt. Thanks for your input. I can see more and more people are gravitating towards teams. 9 years ago, when I got into the market, most people wanted to be individual agents. They didn't want to, they didn't want to be on a team. Which was the mindset I always had. I never wanted to be on a team because I left a job with some person telling me what to do and how to do it when I knew I could do it better than him. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go on a team. But it's an individual
it's a great the getting back to the KPA and Maddie Riley just made a great point about, being the right fit and above and beyond that, just knowing I do a lot of KPAs on a regular basis, and invariably for a lot of people, single agent comes up on the job match. Single agent is typically on the last page because so many people want that camaraderie and enjoy working with other people. And there's a natural instinct there too. And to Heidi's point and what Matt said too, the ability of whether, as a business decision, if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. And I think a lot of team leads would celebrate. I had, like we talk about the Belichick coaching tree. I had this person on my team. Now they've got their own team, right? The ability to grow and develop your own thing should you choose to, or in the right environment is the bubble that you're in, the team that you're in, is it big enough that you can grow and expand and your dreams can evolve within the other bubble of the team owner. And that's Gary's universe, right? Gary's got to have a world big enough that all the regions can fit. And then the regions have to be big enough for the market centers to fit. Then within that, teams, and then solo artists within that. So, just making sure you're in the right environment and leaning into the leverage conversation with your leadership to make sure that you are talking to enough teams. Matt said, he spoke with a few different teams. Don't just assume that I had this one conversation with this one team, this is going to be great. Shop it around and figure out what's right for you. I was very fortunate when I joined. There's this guy named Nathan Dickey who was still in production at the time because our market center was just getting started. And I worked with him and Jen. And now ironically, he's our OP and our regional director. I'm productivity coach, and Jen Vashon, who is my lead listing agent, is now our managing broker. So we've all stayed on the same team and just evolved into different positions. And that's the mindset that Gary wants for the entire universe here.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
is it true? Is it fair to say that it's almost like
you know, when you're talking about leveraging, the next level is to be part of a team. Even if you start off as an individual, if you start off strong, it's almost inevitable for you to build a team for the sake of leverage.
If you need the leverage, yes,
Sure.
unless you're going to be paying for it as, you know, like an a la carte service that your market center might be offering.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
from a
one person-
scalability standpoint, I think everybody's going to hit critical mass. And I think Gary throws out the number of about, you know, if you're running about 12 to 16 deals at once, you probably need a chiropractor and some help, right? You know, you need something at that point, and that's where we start to scale it with talent. And that's where, whether you fancied yourself to be a team lead eventually and running a team at some point, to Heidi's point, you're going to see all of our market centers are going to have shared services departments. So you could be the solo artist with the cat and a cup of coffee and lean into a transaction coordinator that you can hire per deal, as opposed to building a team that you have all these people hired full time. So there's going to be a myriad of ways for you guys to get there. But yes, leverage doesn't necessarily mean building or joining a team. It could just be leveraging out allied resources to help you run the deal so you can get back to your one thing, which is getting more deals.
Yep.
Yeah, Timothy, you're absolutely correct. When I came over to KW, I started with a small team. I'd already been in production for almost 2 years. And I was busy. So I was like, okay, I need a buyer's agent, blah, 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 blah. Built it backwards, by the way, because I didn't read the book.
Good for you.
So lesson learned, don't build it backwards.
Yes.
But I discovered that a team in terms of, you know, other agents wasn't for me, but leaning into, I have a phenomenal transaction coordinator. I have somebody who helps me with my social media. That's my team, and that's how I thrive.
Yep. Yeah, for clarity's sake, because I know you guys see the numbers come out and we release regional numbers and you see the term team and group. Gary considers you a solo artist if it's you and a cup of coffee and your cat. As soon as you hire operational help, you've started to build a team, and you'll notice even a solo agent with operational help, that EA or transaction coordinator or both, your first two hires, is considered a team. As soon as you hire your next salesperson, that fourth hire or that third hire, the fourth level team, when you add the additional salesperson is when Keller Williams defines you as a group at that point, just for clarity on those two terms. And there's no wrong way to do it. Talk to your market center leadership to guide you through the conversation.
Mary, go ahead.
Yes, Tim, you used the term KPA and you said the single agent is on the last page. What were you saying?
No, it doesn't.
there?
It's not always on the last page. I notice invariably for most people, it comes up last.
Okay.
It comes up on the last page.
Okay,
of your
what is a
job match.
KPA? What is
Keller
a KPA?
Personality Assessment.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, KPA. If you haven't done it, your market center can send you an invite to take that. It's a great growth conversation, and it gives you enlightenment on all the opportunities here. And it would be a tool that if you were having a conversation with a team or for a role within the market center or the region, it would be a tool that we would use as part of career visioning to decide if you were fit for the role.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, before we move on, I just want to also mention, I found him. Sam Alpern is a productivity coach in Newport, and he is on the call as well. Sam, can you say hello?
Hey guys, I had a little bit of trouble getting logged on this morning, but I'll be answering questions here and there through the chat, and then I'll chime in on the conversation a little bit as well. But anyone has questions, you can message me directly, and I'll also be answering here and there through the chat as well.
Great. Thanks, Sam. Okay, so at the end of the day, we want the agents to go, you need to do time blocking. Who's heard of time blocking?
We did that in our market center.
Yep. So time blocking for your next day. So you can schedule, your schedule can shift depending on what you're doing in your business and what your client schedules are. And I'm sure you're going to run into this where you have a showing with a buyer set up, something happens, the buyer can't make it, you have to cancel it. So your schedule is always going to end up shifting. You want to make sure that you have other items on your schedule that you're going to be able to fit in to continue to run your business. And you want to remember to put you've heard this week, big rocks, right? Put your big rocks on your calendar first. Who can remind us what big rocks are?
Those are the things that you have to do every day.
Exactly, exactly. So we're going to go over this a little bit more, so I won't go into it now. Why start your day with lead generation and follow-up? Why is that the most important thing? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but who else can tell me why that's so important?
That's
Because
without. Go ahead, Vilmar.
because when you know the market, you will know what you're talking about when you're asking that seller to reduce the price. You can prove it to the person that that is not the right price for the house in the neighborhood.
Okay, what else?
I don't know.
Without lead generation, you don't have a business.
Without lead generation, you don't have a business. So when I'm working with a new agent, I tell them your title or your title is a realtor. Your job is a lead generator. So every day your job is to get up and generate leads to move your business forward, because you're not going to have a business unless you have leads. So you're a realtor, but your job is lead generation. The daily success habits are the foundation for growing your business. We all know this. We're going to take a look at how successful agents incorporate the daily success habits and more into each day to achieve their goals. One of the ways they do this is by doing a 411 every week, and they turn their goals into their daily and weekly activities. So did you guys do a 411 last week?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. If you look on participants guide on page 3, I believe, you should find your 411. So your 411 is made up of 4 weeks, once a month, and annual. Did any of the other coaches go over what the 411 was with you?
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, we
All right.
touched it. We did touch on it last week. Yes.
Okay.
We talked about it briefly.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go over it a little bit more in depth right now. I'm going to take a little bit of a break here, and I'm going to actually stop sharing for now. Okay. So the 411 is where you set your annual goal for the year. You have a monthly goal that builds up or builds into that annual goal. And then you have 4 weekly goals that build into that monthly goal. So you set your 411 from the top down, so annual, monthly, and then weekly, but you work it from the bottom up. Weekly fills into monthly goals, fills into annual goals. Does that make sense? All right. So for right now, I would like somebody to we're going to kind of take a little bit of a break, and I want you to stop and think about what you need to be putting down on your 411 for a weekly goal for next week. I want you to think about what those big rocks are that you need to be doing.
We do have some notes from last week on that. We did cover some of that.
Okay. Did you set any goals?
It was make phone calls, checking out how many appointments and transactions you've been able to generate, making sure that we make 40 calls a week. Trying to see. I'm reading my notes. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Let's see if there's anything else in here. It was brief.
Okay. All right. So what I'd like you to do is, if you set any 411 goals from last week, I'd like you to take a look at them and see what you were able to achieve and what you weren't able to achieve, and then start writing out your 411 goals for next week. So you're going to put your big rocks first for your business. Now, if you see on your 411, it's divided into business and personal. Yes. So life is not all about business. we have personal stuff in there as well, right, Jessica? Family time, for example. So when you're setting your big rock goals for your business, you're also going to make sure you get in your personal goals as well for the week. That could be that you want to get up and you want to work out 3 days that week. Or if you're like me, you want to meditate 5 days that week, because workout is just a dirty word to me.
Could be as simple as not hitting the snooze button all week, right?
There you go. That's a good one as
Because
well.
most people have it on their phone next to their bed. The snooze goes off. You're like, I'll sleep 5 more minutes, then I'll check Facebook.
Right.
Right.
I'm only focusing on your weekly 411 goals right now. I'm not going to get into the monthly or the annual. Let you take that back to your market center and do that with your productivity coaches or your mentors. But right now, I'm going to give you, it's about 5 of 10? I'm going to give you 5 minutes to set some weekly, for next week, business goals and personal goals. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to ask if you're comfortable to share what those are. So you got 5 minutes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So it says week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. How many do you put for week 1?
So let me see if I can look at my 411 here.
So ultimately, just to make it sound sexier, they call it a 411. It's really a 114. It's an annual goal.
Yes.
And the way Jeff Woods with the one thing has chunked it down as of late is you've got, just for right now, focus on one thing in your business and one thing in your personal life. So what do you want to accomplish over the next year? Now chunk that down to how do I divide that by 12? And then take that to the month of January. We're into the second week. So now for the next 2.5 weeks of January, what do the weeks look like that I have to chip away at to accomplish my monthly, the 12th of my goal to hit my annual goal?
Okay.
But for, to make it sound delightful, we call it a 411. It's a 114 ultimately. So you're just chunking it down, because what we want to do is take that someday goal, go to 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, 1 quarter, back to this book, right? The 12-week year, right? Chunk it down to the quarter, chunk it down to the month, chunk it down to the week. Then you get to Friday. Well, what do I need to do this morning, right? You hear people use the term win the morning. And this is all to the point. So when Heidi's like, okay, it's 7:59 on Monday, I wish I were still in bed. And I've got a goal for December 32nd that I want to crush. So picking up the phone makes more sense because I can tie it back to my North Star for the year, right? And it just gives it more credence.
Now, remember, when we're time blocking and we're doing our 411, we are not looking to necessarily time block our day from 7:45 in the morning until 5 p.m. at night. Your goal is not to fill a calendar with 15-minute or 30-minute increments. You're not looking to do that. You're looking to put your big time blocks or your big rocks in there of what you need to do for that day. So every day you should have in there lead generation from this time to this time, whatever that is. And then you may have a class that you're taking later that day, or you may have a monthly business meeting that your market center is having. If you have a schedule with your coach, you might be meeting with your coach, once a week. So that would be blocked in there. Maybe you're practicing a listing presentation with your accountability partner. That would be blocked in there. And when it comes to the personal, on this 411, it's not divided into business and personal. I thought it was. Your personal has to get in there too. So if you have a doctor's appointment or your child has a doctor's appointment, that's important. Make sure you put that in. Does anybody have any questions on what they're putting in, or is there any?
Andrew's got his hand up. Go ahead, Andrew.
I kind of got in here late. I went to another site and it didn't bring me into this, but I get in here and I guess this is the lead generation class. Am I correct?
No, this is a day in the life of an agent.
Okay. Anyways, well, the 411 goals, is that in the Keller Williams command or the dashboard or something, or where are you getting that?
It's in your participation guide for today. Today is Spark 9.
Oh, okay.
And I think they just, I don't know if Donna was putting it in. I thought somebody had put it in the chat.
It's in the chat.
Okay.
You scroll a little bit up.
And
It was
if you-
posted.
okay,
Sorry, it
if
was
you-
posted at 9:58.
we may have to drop it in again. Tim or Donna, can somebody drop in the participation guide in the chat? Or Sam? I don't know if Sam has access to it. And the 411 is on page 3, I think, of the participation guide.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Sure. All right, so it's 10 o'clock. It's been about 5 minutes. Who would like to, or is open to sharing what some of their items are on their 411 for next week?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, so I said some of my goals for next week is to get up and train before Ignite every day. I work out, so I try and get up. I gotta take the dog up out anyway, so I try and get up early enough to get up and do that.
Okay.
Another one of my goals is to have 10 conversations about real estate daily. To get an appointment set, so have them either with a buyer or a seller, and to do an open house.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing, Matt. Who else?
I'll share.
Okay.
So for next week, I'd like to get on that pivot shift ahead in the morning to start my morning off well. Obviously come into Ignite. So I think with Ignite, the next few weeks are busy and kind of full. Do my 10-4. And then beyond that, I'd like to start to create one of the buyer presentations so that I can practice that. And then as the weeks go on, maybe each week do, a listing presentation, create that, work on smart plans, that kind of thing.
Great job, Debbie. And all you have to do is whether you do it on the weekend or you do it, I like to have my week planned out a little ahead of time. So usually on Friday is when I start setting my 411 up for next week. And I can plan. We don't want you planning out your whole month, because what happens when we make plans, things fall apart. So you always want to do your next week a couple of days before the next week begins. So don't plan out the whole entire month. It's not like it's not rinse and repeat. You're not doing the same steps. But good
Okay,
idea.
thank you.
Good
Thank
plan.
you.
Who else wants to share?
I can go.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, I have a full week. So I'm still doing my real estate classes, and some of them are on demand and some of them are live. So my goal is to try to hit as many of the live one as possible, which is really difficult because I'm supposed to take them in order and they're not in order. I have to do the Ignite classes for next week, and my Roomba is broken. I have to take care of the warranty for that. I have a hair appointment. I have to organize all my contacts so that I can get them into commands eventually, because I have a lot of stuff I have to sort through. And I do want to meet with my business partner to discuss what's going to be for the rest of the month. And I definitely have to spend time with my kids, because they were actually at my mother's in her basement apartment for quarantine for 10 days because they had possible exposure. They're fine. They're home now, but I have been in classes since they've been home. I haven't done anything with them.
Yeah.
So
that's important. Yep. Anybody else?
I have something.
Okay.
It's pretty simplistic at this point. 10 new contacts into my database. Send out cards to the new vendor affiliates that I have made this week. Work on my buyer presentation and daily script practice.
Vicki, I love it. Absolutely love it. You have a script partner that you're working with?
I do.
Good. Who else wants to share?
I can share.
Okay.
So my biggest one is just to get into the flow of lead generation, because I do a lot of marketing, but I'm not doing the intentional lead generation, which is picking up the phone and making phone calls. I'm doing a lot of like Facebook stuff and yard signs, and that's been my focus. But I'd like to actually pick up my phone and do it that way, the traditional way, I suppose. And then my next biggest one is just to really just decide on what am I really going to focus on, my current business, or am I really going to transition into real estate, and how am I going to, basically do that? How do I make the shift? So, I mean, it's just been like the devil on my shoulder, because I need to, have a consistent flow of income. But at the same time, I feel like I'm not giving, real estate my all.
Vivian, what market center are you with?
Boston Metro.
Who's your productivity coach?
It's Chris Brown.
Okay. May I suggest that you maybe sit down and have a conversation with Chris about what it would be like and the steps you would need to take for transitioning?
Yes, sure. I mean, he's excellent. I've brought this, I've told him this before. I'm just having a hard time transitioning and just making the sacrifice of, I guess, not having much of an income to try to really put the effort I need to put into real estate.
Now, what about lead generation? Do you have a script partner that you could practice with?
I am meeting some people through Ignite. I don't think we've come up with anything solid yet, but I'm trying to build that. We do in my market center have script practice daily. And if I wasn't on this call, I do attend those.
Okay.
I'm usually with a client or on my way, I see clients all day long. So I'm usually on the go when I'm doing real estate stuff. But I just need to manage myself and make the decision to move forward in real estate.
Okay. All right.
Vivian, yeah, you make a great point. And I from what I'm hearing, I'm going to recommend that you sort of look at the past days in your schedule, because obviously there's something else that you've got going on, and there's another professional responsibility that you have. And to move into real estate, it sounds like I heard you, talking about doing signs and stuff like that. Ask yourself, of the activities I'm doing, back to the first slide Heidi shared this morning, of your real estate activities every day, especially if somebody's transitioning, we call you guys dual career agents, right? If you're transitioning into real estate, I would argue that if you have 17 minutes a day that you can call your KW minutes, if you're beating the daylights out of them, that will be productive for you. So go back and look at what you've been doing in real estate and ask yourself, am I doing run activities or grow activities? Because if there's only 20 minutes, I need to make sure that 11 of those are grow activities and not run it. Does that make sense? And if you're on a team, and I don't know if you are or not, if you're on a team, making sure that you're having that reset conversation with your team lead that, I really want to transition. Tony DeSello would argue, if you're a dual career agent, we got to pick a date. We've got to have that line in the sand that we're going to make a decision, because it sounds like and you've said it a few times. So I can hear you saying that you want to do it, or your intentionality is to become a real estate agent and to go full time with real estate. So make a decision. Chris Brown's a phenomenal talent. Have another conversation with him. If you're part of a team, then talk to your rainmaker, talk to your team lead about how they can assist you in transitioning, as quickly as you want to. And at the same time, we're all here to support you. And if moving away from a full-time job with benefits is going to be a heavy lift, there's no rush. But I think as soon as you draw a line in the sand and build a commitment for yourself, and then ask for the people around you to support you in and around that, things will move quickly. But make sure that you're doing run activities, grow activities, and not necessarily run activities, because you really need the grow activities right now, because you can keep doing, going and picking up signs and doing a lot of real estate things that aren't foundational things that are going to help you become an entrepreneur within your business. Okay.
Exactly, Tim. That's exactly how I feel, is I'm doing real estate things, but not anything concrete that's actually helping me grow my business. But yeah, Chris is just phenomenal.
He's awesome.
Fabulous. He really is. I really appreciate him. So I'll definitely, maybe bring that conversation back to his attention. Thank you so much for the great advice.
Awesome. Okay, does anybody else have anything that they want to share about their 411 goals for next week?
I have a question about the goals, actually, if we have a moment.
Sure.
So for my goals, I put one down that was just general business. Then I also, as a short backstory, I have a client right now, a buyer who's my aunt, got lucky and fell into the timing with that, but she will be my worst client, and I knew that. So I'm starting off really.
Welcome to business with family.
Oh my God. No idea. She's the most wishy-washy, picky person with a small budget. But anyways, not to crap on my aunt this morning, but but I sent her over 20 listings the other day, and she did not like a single one and sent me individual comments about every single one and why she didn't like.
I love her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cookie. That's why I knew this would be an awesome first client, because she's going to ruin my life and then everything will be better from here.
I need her name. I'm drawing a picture in my head. What Aunt what?
Lori Ledoux.
Aunt Lori. God bless her. Keep going.
You.
Keep going.
She's training you. That's the way you should see it.
Yes, Vilma.
Because it's going to be so hard to start, and then everything will probably get a little easier. But
She's your cadaver page. Don't forget, she's your cadaver before you go into real surgery, right? Slice away.
So she doesn't want anything built before 1980, but she hates brand new builder grade. So that leaves me like 20 years of time probably where I can actually show her something. And she wants no less than 1,100 square feet. And like, it's crazy. But anyways, so she's been really tough. I finally convinced her to go to 2 places this weekend, and I'm thrilled. But I still know, like, she's just going to be the toughest cookie on the face of the planet. So one of my goals was more specific to her. And like, my goal was to, after this weekend, I know she's not going to like anything, and like maybe get her into like, commit to maybe looking at 3 more places next week. Is that something that's somewhat standard in terms of goal setting, like setting goals for specific clients in your week? Or is that as you get, higher volume? Is that a lot?
I don't necessarily, and Tim definitely, and Sam pipe in on this. I don't necessarily think the 411 would be used for specific clients. It's more for the specific goals that you want to achieve that week, what you want to focus on. Again, it's your big rocks. An individual client is not one of your big rocks. It's part of the minutia that goes around with real estate. So I don't know that I would necessarily give Aunt Lori her own specific goals.
Tuesday, strangle Aunt. Done. Yeah.
I don't think I would necessarily do that. But I might set a goal, every week of, to get a new buyer. And that's something that you're going to focus on every single week. Or, you could even put down and conjure up, find Lori a house, find Lori a house. Just keep talking, and the universe is going to hopefully find Lori a house.
Yep. Heidi makes a great point.
Find Lori a house in Nevada, which is where the housing stock is about that age group.
Yeah, there you go. Heidi makes a great point. I'm going to reach into the almanac of Nathan W. Dickey. Do not make it a habit to go out and show. If you're going to be going out to a certain area, don't show just the 1 or the 2 houses. I would always recommend that you find something that's suitable for her too, as close as possible. Getting her back to the 100% conversation. It probably doesn't exist. I'd show her a couple that you chose as well. And above and beyond that, Heidi makes such a great point. Sometimes when we get stuck on that listing that won't sell, and there's usually a reason, price, or that buyer that won't buy because they're hyper picky. We love Aunt Lori. If that's the case, Paige, for her own mental health, needs some victories around that. So continue. Do not let somebody stand in the way of your next conversation to help the next person, because Aunt Lori will be there. She is hyper specific, and you have to sort of let her marinate in that and assist her along the way. But at the same time, she's not going anywhere. She can't wait to work with her lovely niece Paige. And at the same time, you need to run your business around that, prove to yourself that you do know what you're doing. But I would also educate her and show her some properties she might not have considered, because she's so hyper specific with square footage and date range. And you know, lie to her. If it was finished in 1970, you know, if it's got a 1980 date on it, I would challenge her and be like, you know, they started building this in 79, so it's actually outside of your range, right? Like, you probably shouldn't, but like, that's a real thing. People get locked and loaded on this stuff. And I also heard you bring to speech, you know, I know she's not going to like anything this weekend. And I think we have to start having better conversations with ourselves. She's gonna like what she picked out, and she's gonna love what I picked out, and add a couple more properties for her to look at. I think it's gonna be good for you, and you'll end up finding her the property she buys, and that will make you a winner forever in her eyes.
Yeah, I think I feel very positive about the places I'm showing her, but like, this is the town in her budget she wants to be in, and the place is perfect. But she has complained that the taxes are too high in this town, despite the fact this is the town she wants to live with. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with here.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I like to do with my buyers is I bring it back to, you said, you told me. Now, did something change? Did I miss a communication that we had where you changed your mind? And I don't know, I didn't hear it. You didn't tell me, whatever it was. The other thing, new agents are notorious for when they get their first client, they are tunnel visioned on that first client, and everything else in business falls by the wayside because they're focused on that first client. And don't do that. Focus on the bigger business, building your business. Yes, you have one client. Yay, celebrate that. But don't turn Aunt Lori into your main focus. You're going to drive yourself crazy, and you're not going to end up developing any
Aunt
other
Lori
business.
could turn into the website that you're not quite done with yet, right? Don't let another person in this universe create paralysis in your business, because you're stuck working. You know, so find some victories around her.
Paralysis. Yeah, don't be doing that.
I have a suggestion for clients like that, because I've dealt with that in the past. I had a situation with a client where they seemed to want something that didn't exist or was like very difficult to find. And really what it came down to is they wouldn't believe me that there were not the things that they were looking for, and that they were going to have to compromise until they saw it with their own eyes. So like, have her look through the listings herself, or say to her, you know what you're looking for, show me an example, like a real example. Like, what house are you looking for? She'll show you a picture of a house, and maybe you'll get some information, insight from there. But like, it sounds like she needs to see it with her own eyes, that she's being unreasonable. And if you tell her that, she's not going to like it. But if she tells herself that, it might be a little easier to swallow.
Just don't have her be looking on Zillow, because she will find a house, but it sold 6 years ago.
Already of 10 places that sold between the time she's moved to the Cape to now. And they all sold in her price range, but they're beautiful condos on golf courses that now are over 400 and not in her price range. But she sent me a place. This is my Taj Mahal. Find me this. Well, it doesn't for less than $400,000 in Cape Cod right now. So
right.
So this is where, can I just I jump in? I know I'm late to this conversation, but this is where you have to coach your clients, and you have to really maintain as much control of the conversation as you can. Because this, especially when we're new agents, it can spiral out of control, where we're sort of like becoming order takers for the list of unicorns that don't exist, right? So we really have to just, and the best thing to do is to just go into a property and don't say anything. Let her make her own observation and then have a conversation later. Because sometimes you think this is the list of things that I need, or I want, or I have to have. And weirdly, someone will walk into a property and you're going to be like, oh no, they're never going to buy this. And they walk in and are like, this is the one. So, you know, one of my mentors told me when I first was selling, just be quiet, right? When you get into a property sometimes, because they're good. Sometimes you don't know, especially with a client like that, who's really all over the place. She's all over the place right now, right? And you all are going to have people like this. And, you know, just get her into properties. What did you like? Don't focus on the things you didn't like about the property. What did you like? It had 2-car garage. It had, you know, a big window. It had, like, start to piece together what it is that's a non-negotiable for her and what is negotiable. Because this long list, it doesn't exist. Instead of getting into the fight of like, this doesn't exist, start to focus on what you can see really is what she has to have. Right? Like, I have to have 3 bedrooms. I have to have a garage. Those are the things that, because she'll never buy anything. Like, you know what I mean? So because you're not going to go build the property. So you're going to figure out her motivation and keep the process moving forward. So, yeah, we do get stuck in those. I think, to Heidi's point, like, with the new clients, when we're new agents, we could be on the hamster wheel of doom looking for a property that doesn't exist. So, you know, needs and wants are really important to understand in this process. So that's my 2 cents. And I know you're going to do great, Paige.
Thank you. I know this got off topic. Thank you, everybody, because this is
no, but everyone in this classroom right now is going to deal with this or has dealt with it. So.
And to Erin's point, that needs and wants list that you do, just because you do that needs and wants list on day one does not necessarily mean by the time they close that they've achieved those needs and wants. You can start out with wanting a 3-bedroom Cape and end up with a 6-bedroom colonial. In a completely different town, slightly different price range. You know, that fenced-in yard they wanted has now turned into, you know, a big pool in the backyard, or because they learn as they go along and things change. It's human nature. And sometimes they tell you and sometimes they don't. So you always, through the whole process of working with a buyer, you're always checking in. You're always asking, hey, are we still on the same page for this? What's changed? Has anything changed? And sometimes you have to put your buyers in timeout with it. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not talking to you for the weekend because I'm going to punish you if I do. All right, let's get moving on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We saw this earlier this week because I remember it was 2 days ago. I was on the Ignite call where Lorna talked about the 80-20 principle. Who can tell me what that was? I remember because I have it in front of me. So
yeah.
So who remembers?
I have it in front of me.
Oh, I know. It's that you'll get 80% out of the 20% of work that you do. Something.
So basically 20% of your effort should yield to 80% of your results. So I gave a visual. I talked about picture a big clear acrylic container. And we say, we want you to do your big rocks first. So we want you to put your big rocks in this container or this bucket. And you put all your big rocks in. Is the container full?
No.
No, because now we can add pebbles, right? So we add pebbles and it fills in some of the space. Is the container still full now?
No.
No, because now we can add sand, right? And the sand will fill in all of those little spaces that's left. Is it full? What do we add last? We can add water. Water will take up every single minute space that's left. And now the water comes to the top of that container. Is the container full now? Yes, we can't add anything else. It will be running over. To me, that visual just speaks so much about why we need to do our big rocks first. So when we put our big rocks in the container, that's our lead generation. That's our grow the business parts that we're doing. The pebbles, the sand, and the water, that's the run your business part. Does everybody understand that? So what are some of the big rocks in your business? What are some of the things that you are putting down as your big rocks for your 411? We heard lead generation. We heard phone calls. What else?
Networking.
Networking. Okay.
Script practicing.
Script practicing. Yep.
How about on a personal level, just juggle in your child's full remote school schedule in addition to all these other things?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the new normal. Absolutely.
That sounds like an awful book.
Tim does not want to read it. What else? What about meeting with your accountability partner? And writing your note cards. Right now, would you consider attending Ignite to be your big rock?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Entering things in command is a big one, I think, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So how many people here, when you're doing your lead generation for the day and you reach out to the people that you connect with, are you actually every day adding those people into your command?
I haven't been. I should be.
Should be.
Are you keeping a list?
Mm,
Well,
mhm.
let me tell you something. That list is going to get awfully long, awfully fast. And you're going to
Yeah.
be sitting there doing data entry every single day, and then you're
Yeah.
going to not like it. You're not going to want to do that. So my suggestion is, if you connect with 10 people today, you get their information or you know their information, then put aside some time to do your data entry today into command. And then when you've made that connection and you put them into command, what about sending a follow-up note card to them saying, hey, it was great connecting with you today, Jessica. I really enjoyed our conversation. And I really hope, homeschooling goes better.
Question.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be covered in something else, it's fine. I came from a leasing background, and they used to use this platform called I Love Leasing. Does Keller Williams have something like that? I mean, I think places pay to be on that, right? It gives you leads on people who are looking for apartments.
I don't know that Keller Williams has anything like that. I don't know if Tim or Erin may know.
That leads on leases.
It's called I Love Leasing. It was people who were looking for apartments would contact there, and like then you'd basically pick up leads for people who were looking to rent.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, top of my head, I don't have a resource necessarily. I know if that question were being asked of me up here at 463 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, we've got agents that serve the North Shore and beautiful downtown Cow Hampshire and Southern Maine. I would recommend you talk to the person in your office who is, doing that at a real high level and just see what resources they use. They'd be willing to share, right? I know there's, obviously there's different commercial entities. And then if you're somebody who's like, for example, up here and you can reach out to her, she'd probably be able to point you in a direction. And I don't know where you're located for your office. Darlene Caldwell Ellis is a mega agent out of Dover with our market center, and foundationally, rentals and leases are what built her empire.
Right.
So she
Well,
might be somebody who can help you with that.
I'm in Greater Hartford, Fairfield area.
Yeah, I mean, I would reach out to Amina or ask Erdman and just see what's available to you guys down there. That'd be my guess.
All right. Sorry. Thank you.
No problem.
That's okay. All righty. So does anybody else have anything to say on 20% of your efforts should yield 80% of your results, and getting clear on what those efforts are? So the last thing I'm going to say is, when you keep this in mind and you're doing your lead generation, you're doing your big rocks every day, it's time on task over time. So what that means is the time you spend on your big rocks, so on time on task, over time, the more you do it, weeks, months, years, that's what generates your big business. It's not instantaneous. It doesn't happen in 6 weeks. It doesn't happen in 8 weeks or 8 days. It might not even happen in 8 months. It's just time on task over time will create the business that you desire, which is going to give you more money, more time with your family, and hopefully will help you be more organized and then eventually be able to leverage if that's what you choose to do. All right. Page 5 of your participation guide, you should have this. This is set your objectives. So we're going to translate your weekly goals into daily objectives. When you develop your daily objectives, you want to focus on how to measure the progress towards the goals that you're identifying. You identify the targets that are going to facilitate your success by using these guideline questions. Are they identifiable? Are they metrics driven? Are they attainable, purposeful, and timely? To me, this reminds me very much of setting SMART goals. Who here has heard of SMART, S-M-A-R-T as an acronym? Does anybody know what a SMART goal is? It's specific, measurable, attainable, timely, no, relative, and then timely. I spelled SMART wrong. Specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and timely. This is very similar to SMART goals. So when you're setting your goals, we want you to be looking at these and asking the questions, is my goal identifiable? I want to get a lead this week, or I want to get a referral this week. That's identifiable, right? Is it metric driven? How are you going to be able to measure your progress towards the attainment of each goal that you're setting? So if you were looking to get a referral or a lead this week, how would you be able to measure if you were working towards that goal? Well, it has to do with a part of your 10-4.
Making your 10 phone calls.
Exactly. Have you made your 10 phone calls? Maybe you want to challenge yourself because you really want to push. So you're going to do 20 phone calls this week. So that's where the metric driven comes in. Attainable. Do you have the correct system and tools in place for you to be able to gain success? What, based on lead or referral, what system or tools would you need to have in place?
Your database, maybe?
Your database, maybe you need to know how to enter them into command. You might have to know how to set them up in a smart plan, right? We talked about buyer smart plans on Wednesday. Purposeful. Is the goal in alignment with your weekly, monthly, and annual goals? When you look at your 411, does getting that lead or that referral, is that in alignment with what your goals are for your month and your annual goal? And then timely. When will this goal need to be accomplished? Well, maybe you're setting that goal that you're going to get a listing, a lead or a referral in a week. Or maybe you're saying in the month of January, I'm going to get X number of leads or referrals. So when you look at your 411 and the goals that you have down there, I want you to take a look at them and see, do they line up? Are they identifiable, metric driven, attainable, purposeful, and timely? So I'm going to give you about just 2 minutes to quickly take a look at your 411 and see if you can identify that all of your goals line up with this. Does anybody need any help? Mary?
Heidi, on this, so it's looking at to see if our goals line up with our 411 for next week?
Now you're looking at your
Oh.
411 for next
Ye-
week. the goals
yes.
are set, and you're
Yes.
looking to see, do they fit this objective? Are they identifiable,
Mm-hmm.
metric driven,
Uh-huh.
attainable,
Yeah. Purposeful
purposeful, and timely?
and timely. Uh-huh. Thank you. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
And if anybody is struggling with any one part of this, let us know. I'm going to ask if somebody would be willing to share their goal, one of their goals for next week, and then apply it to each, how it's identifiable, how they're going to track it. Is it metric driven? How they're going to attain it? Is it purposeful? And how it's timely?
I think the more important one for me would be just to rest. I think that was a point that was driven home because we're in our own workspace now. I can be a workaholic, and it's like at 5, I do a bunch of lead generation. I do time blocking perfectly, but if I got a call, I'm picking it up and I'm walking away and I'm taking the call, and then sometimes I just snowball again at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. If I get a notification because somebody saw my social media at 11 o'clock at night, I'm messaging them. So there was 2 nights ago, I was doing comparative analysis at like 12 o'clock in the morning. I'm just like, so I need a rest. I think that's important to rest and just hit the pause on this. It's all very exciting.
So Thomas, what about if you were to set specific time frames for your rest? That from 11 o'clock, I shut off. Now I know, I think a majority of people, I am not one of them. My cell phone does not come to bed with me. My dogs don't even come to bed with me. But if you were to set an alarm, let's say from 11 p.m. until, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 the next morning, that's your rest time. And then the rest of the day, you get to snowball, as you put it.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I just get kind of like, I do look for work too.
And that's great. It's great to be excited and get up and want to do your job. You're not going to be able to continue that. You're going to burn out.
Yeah, it's very
Trust
true.
me. So setting good habits now are going to help you in the future.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does anybody
Heidi?
want to? Yep.
Hi. I just wanted to piggyback on what you said to Thomas. Thomas, you're obviously in a different generation than I am. But I think I used to be a workaholic. And we're talking about, believe it or not, there was a time before cell phones, which you can't recall, but I do. And so we had to do everything like I don't even know how we got our work done, but we did. What I would recommend you do, because I have a tendency to look, probably I don't take my phone to bed with me, but I do either shut it off or put it on do not disturb from whatever time I want to go to bed until the time I want to wake up. And then put it in another room and forget about it. I know it's hard to do, but that's what I recommend.
Yep. Good point, Donna. Does anybody want to share one of their goals for next week and how it relates to this objective of identifiable, metric-driven, attainable, purpose, and timely?
I'll do it because it's one that I'm struggling with.
Okay.
So I want, one of my big goals for next week is to take command of command and the Keller Williams app.
Okay.
Because I'm struggling with it. Not so much command, but like I really spent 3 or 4 hours the other day on the app. I don't have much patience by nature, and I was trying to get it set up, but I kept getting like kicked out of it or whatever. I was doing something wrong. So I got very frustrated, and I want to get somewhere, get focused on it, and get it done. I want to learn how to use it. Once you know, like, obviously I'm not the technology generation, but once I learn something, I can do it. I just want to learn it.
Okay, so Donna, you've identified your goal. How is it metric driven? How are you going to measure your progress towards the attainment of learning command or the app?
That I've actually entered things in, made a smart plan, am using the app.
Okay. And do you have the correct systems in place or the tools in place for you to be successful on learning the app and how to use command?
I think so.
So what would those tools or systems be?
My brain.
What else?
Um,
Is there somebody in your market center that you can reach out to for help?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And purposeful. Is this goal in alignment with your weekly, monthly, and annual goals?
Absolutely, too.
Okay. And when do you feel that this goal needs to be accomplished by?
Yesterday.
Okay. Well, yesterday is gone, so let's set a future date.
I'd like to be very seamlessly working with it by the end of January.
Okay. All right. So you have your marching orders. You are going to work with somebody in your market center, hopefully, and or follow any of the trainings for command and the app. And you're going to track your progress by taking the trainings, meeting with somebody in your market center, walking through it. And you're hoping to get this goal accomplished by January 31st. Is it 31 days? Yeah, 31 days in January. Okay.
Yep.
Does
Thank you.
anybody else want to share one of theirs?
Can I just say something, Donna?
Sure.
This is Vivian.
Hi, Vivian.
Hi. So someone from Ignite gave me a contact of someone from the Chestnut Hill area that's going to be working with me on the app. And once I get that knowledge, I'd love to share it with you and work with you to get your app up and running as well.
Can I ask you a question real quick, Vivian?
Oh, sure.
Can you and I do that with this person as a tag team?
I think that's a great idea. Maybe we can all do a Zoom. Yeah, we can do that, Donna.
All right, let's you and I connect after the Ignite.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Donna's just got a new tool in her tool belt now.
I've got
Awesome. All right, before we go on break, I'd like one more person that would step up and share how their objectives are, how they're going to meet their goals by using these objectives.
I can share.
Okay.
I think my main goal is to be able to make sure that all of my goals I can measure this way, because basically right now I am transitioning and I have 3 kids at home, one of which is remote learning, the other 2 are too young. So my day is just like a huge jumble every day. And especially with Ignite in the morning, 9 to 12, there's other trainings going on in my office I really need to jump into. So I feel like I'm lead generating, but it's like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. And then at the end of the day, I don't even remember who I reached out to, and I'm trying to get all those names into command. So I don't think I'm being as purposeful as I could be. So my main goal is to, by Monday morning, have a plan of, you know, these are the people I'm going to reach out to. So basically every night I will write down who I'm going to reach out to the next day and just have a plan where I have time blocks of this needs to happen then. Because a lot of times, you know, one of my time blocks is 8 to 10 at night after all the kids go to bed, and I can sit down, and that's when I can, you know, update my database and do the things that I don't need to be talking to people, or that doesn't need to be done during business hours. So
Awesome.
that's like my biggest thing, is to organize my day so that I am getting everything that I need to do. I did a training. We listened to a training with Dave Jenks, who did, you know, your top 3 things. So the night before, I need to be writing down what are the 3 things that I need to do to win the day. And I just need to be able to focus on those, because I just feel like I'm kind of all over the place right now.
Yeah.
So you've identified your goal. How are you going to measure your progress towards attaining it?
I'm going to measure it because I should be more productive. If I organize that, I should be more productive. So my database should grow every day in Command, and I should be able to get all these people on smart plans so that I'm reaching back to them. And so just organizationally, I'll see that.
Okay. And do you feel that you have the correct tools and systems in place to be able to attain it?
I do.
All right. And is it in alignment with your weekly, monthly, annual goal?
Yes, I think it's going to make all of those goals be able to happen.
Okay, here's the big question. When do you feel it's going to be accomplished?
By Monday morning.
Wow. Okay. All right,
I just need
Becky.
to sit down and write out a plan. I need, so that, like I said, starting next week, I'm organized, and I know what needs to get done every day.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Great job, everybody. All right. We are going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to come back at 5 minutes of 11. So 10 minutes.
Okay.
Donna, I think a couple people dropped some useful links in the chat for you to check out. I think.
Yeah, there's too many for me to even look at right now.
Yeah. So I know Michelle put one in, and then I think I put one in, which is the Command 101.
I did that one like 5 times. Okay. And when I started doing the stuff, it was like, see, the problem is like I type with this hand that I have to cast on, and I kept like typing and things would disappear because I'd hit the wrong buttons.
Yeah.
Because I have a Mac and it's so flippin' sensitive.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I did the Command 101.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the other one. I don't know exactly what that is.
Oh, I did get started with the KW app.
Yeah. So I mean, and the biggest thing is if you have a tech ambassador at your market center, reach out to them.
He's responsible for 300 agents.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, I know at my market center, I have the ability to schedule time with mine. He does a almost like open mic, like you can meet with him like twice a week. He has hours, but you can schedule.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah. And or if you just reach out, you can set up a private meeting, because those are things you're trying to do.
Yeah,
Those are our resources. So don't be afraid to reach out.
I have done that. I know he's teaching some classes that I've already taken right now. So I know he's busy, and I reached out to him like a couple weeks ago, but.
Yep.
You're one of the 300 people.
I love Anthony.
Yep. So just Kendra, our guy is awesome, but like I said, you're just follow up. I mean, that's part of our job now, right? Is just follow up, follow through, be like, hey, I reached out to you a couple weeks ago. I'm really, struggling to try and figure out my app. I would love to be able to set a meeting with you.
Donna? Definitely just get on his schedule. I mean, ours in Portsmouth has 700, and I think we're at 710 or 709 or something. And there might be multiple people who need to do the same things and group everybody together, or just get on a calendar somehow.
I've tried that, but I'll try again. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, they're supposed to be there as resources for us. So I guess just
Right.
keep
Yeah,
going,
exactly.
right? So
We're paying our market center fees. You could, they got to figure out a way to get to all of us.
Hey, Donna, I'm in your office too, and I'm having the same problem that
I
you
know.
are.
I've
You
heard
read
it.
my, I sent you a private message.
Oh, and where is it, honey? I can't find
Oh, it's in the chat. I give you my phone number just so we can talk.
Oh, you're Karen. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Donna.
I'll call you after.
Yeah, give me a call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like I'm bugging Chris. I'm always asking questions and you know, he doesn't get back for like a week or two. And I'm learning so much from this class, thank God.
You're talking about Chris Brown?
Yeah.
You know what? The best way to communicate with him is through email. Okay.
Yeah.
He will. He answers emails. He might not do it same day.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, I know weekends are sacred to him. So doesn't do it on the weekend, but he will answer you in a timely manner if you do it on email. And just set up a time, like a 20-minute or 30-minute, either a Zoom call or just a call.
Yeah.
He will make time for you.
All right.
Okay.
That's good to know.
I'm having, my issue is with the tech stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't actually done that, but everything is so overwhelming right now because I ended a 30-year career with the airlines. And this is just completely different. So I have stuff all over the place right now. And I know I got to do this, and that.
Yeah, but don't forget with the airlines, what did you do for the airline?
I was an agent, ticket agent, gate agent.
Right, but you were representing the airline. So you were, believe it or not, you were in sales.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. I began my career like in the 80s in reservations. So some of this is very familiar.
Yeah.
Sales techniques. Yeah, very true. And I have tons of contacts there.
Yeah, great.
So
Hey, Karen.
There's your book of business.
Yep.
Karen, can I give you a tip?
Yes.
I tell a lot of the new agents because there is a lot of information, a lot of things to do. I know this is very old fashioned, but a lot of people have reported back that it's been really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
There is what RTL describes is coming into KW and starting with all these things. It's the fire hose. You're getting the fire hose of stuff to do and stuff to learn. I've told a bunch of new agents for over a decade, grab some index cards.
Yep.
Put a task on one task on each, one related task. So maybe it's a overall goal. It might have 3 or 4 things, but at the end, label them A, B, and C. A's are the most important. B's are next. C's could wait a little bit. Take all the A's, take one card at a time, finish those steps, check it off as done, go on to the next A. And there might be more added in, like each week you might have a couple new ones, but it's really hard to stay focused. And frustration happens if you're all over the place, which everybody is. It's not you.
Yeah, because look at this is my list.
Okay, so take that and put it on another sticky or index card or whatever and label them A, B, and C.
Okay.
And then just focus on one at a time until it's done. And I know this was way back before Command when I started, but I'd get somewhere with something tech-wise and something I couldn't figure out, and I would just drop it instead of picking up the phone and calling the person who could work me through that.
Right.
So just put it in your head that you can't go on to the next A card until you finish the one you're working on. And then all of a sudden you've got all this stuff done. So that might be helpful to control the fire hose of stuff.
That's good advice.
That's brilliant.
It's so old fashioned. I mean, it's nothing on command checklists and all of this stuff. And some people will go like, Sue, we've moved a little bit beyond index cards, but you know what? I think sometimes we have to go back to the old fashioned stuff to just keep it clear in our mind.
Right.
So that might help you.
All right.
Hey, Sue.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that I use index cards. I've been doing it since college.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so ingrained, and it makes it easier for me personally to track and learn.
Yep.
So I don't think it's old fashioned. If it works for you, then it's in fashion as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it was just for me, like I walk around with 17 legal pads for my background, well, with stuff to do and whatever.
Mhm.
And those are great, in one way, but when there's a lot of these tasks that we need to complete for command and all the things that we need to do, it was too jumbled all together.
Correct.
So I think it was important to separate out, I need to get my app ready to go. All right, here are the 3 things on card A I need to do to make that happen. And then just not abandon that card until it's done.
Mhm.
There's too
Doyle,
many.
you're the coolest old-fashioned person in our market center. So
Oh, Lindsay's back from
take that to the
break.
bank, Doyle. Take it to the
I
bank.
was hoping to sneak this in before Lindsay came back on. To be like, Doyle, we have command, we have checklists for all that stuff. Don't tell anyone about the index cards. Sorry, Tim.
There's
Bless
nothing, Sue, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to show what I have right up. I don't know if anybody can see
Yeah,
that.
Doyle's talking about red tools. That was before e-edge.
Oh my
From like
gosh.
1963.
Easy there, Lindsay.
Here's
Yeah,
mine.
easy, Lindsay. I'm not there at the office to punch you today, but I'll be there tomorrow.
I'm only in my 40s and I use the index cards.
There is nothing wrong with that. You work with whatever tools work with you.
Well, and you can take one card and just stare at it. And this is what I have to do today or within the next 2 days. My 17 legal pads have 4,500 things a piece, and it just becomes too discombobulated. So it's like, push all that aside, take a card that has an A on it that's important and priority, finish it, go to the next. Because otherwise we all, as new agents, and especially now with all the command stuff, we end up with 400 things that aren't done.
Right.
And that's even for the most focused of us and all of that. It just happens.
Yep. All right, before we get back into class, we have one quick question that just popped up on the chat. And Renee is asking, and Renee, it's not a stupid question. Stupid questions are the ones that aren't asked. What are some of the most important questions people are asking when scripting or at the first appointment? So that's a little vague. Are we talking buyer appointment, buyer scripting, listing scripting, forward script? What are we talking about? What kind of scripting?
I don't know. I guess, well, I think I might have a potential buyer, somebody that I know. They're kind of going back and forth. They're kind of planning a wedding. And I just wanted to ask her, like, I guess the basic questions, aside from price range, where do you guys want to be, how much square footage? I mean, other than the basics, I mean, what other questions am I missing, or should I be asking? Like, what are the most important other than what they're looking for in their house?
I might ask what their time frame is.
Okay.
I mean, they're planning a wedding. Are they going to buy a house while they're planning a wedding? Wow, God bless them. Are they going to get married first and then buy the house?
Yes, so they're currently staying at like an in-law apartment. So they've been there, they're pretty comfortable. They were supposed to get married last year and then they got pushed it. So they're not getting married until I think July, if they can this year. So I think almost she's at that point where she's like, if we can't have another wedding, I think we're gonna just buy the house first. So they're kind of like, they don't really know. So I'm just like trying to feel her out and like just trying to get I guess some information without overwhelming her if she's not super serious. So I just wanted to know, like,
I think that conversation about, well, what's the priority? What's the timeline? What do you feel that you want to be doing first? Do we want to focus right now on specifically getting you in a house before July? Or are we just kind of looking and seeing what's out there now and kind of floating until after the wedding?
Okay.
So I think that you need to find out what's coming first, the wedding or the house.
Renee, I had the same situation. I had a couple that was supposed to get married, got pushed out because of COVID. They were friends of mine. And I put them on an MLS search So they were
Okay.
getting listings, and what it did is they started seeing that they were missing out on a bunch of really nice houses. And they
Okay.
finally said, you know what, screw it. We're just going to take the money we do for the wedding because we're probably not going to be able to have it with COVID and buy a house.
Right. Right. Okay.
And it kind of like motivated them to make a decision one way or the other because they saw all that inventory. Not that there was, you know, plethoras of it, but they saw several houses that they missed out on that would have checked off all the boxes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kendra. That's a very good point. All right, so now we are heading towards the end of this class. We're going to be talking about time blocking and putting your big rocks into your calendar. So time blocking is simply dedicating specific periods of time to specific purposes. It's putting your big rocks on your calendar and making a commitment to preserve that time for that big rock. Some key tips to remember when you're time blocking. You want to block the time for the most important task first. Big rocks, lead generation, follow-up. Don't try to time block every minute of your day. So on this calendar, we don't need to see it blocked from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. at night, filled with whatever. Be careful not to confuse time blocking with, and this goes back to blocking a whole entire day, indiscriminately filling your calendar. How many people here, just by saying yes or no, how many people use a paper calendar or a paper planner?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I use both.
I use both too.
I use one too.
Yeah, both. I have
Yes,
a paper
both.
planner and I use my Google Calendar. Because my phone follows me around every place. My paper planner doesn't. So when you're entering your time blocks into your calendar, make sure you set alarms. So if you're going to be time blocking for, let's say, lead generation every day once you're done with Ignite, and you're going to be doing it from 8:30 to 11:30. If you get so involved in it, you may end up going over into another time for something else. If you're somebody that really gets doesn't pay attention to the time, you may want to set a alarm on your phone to be able to remind you that it's time to stop. I know some agents in the past that would set a 10-minute break alarm just for them to be able to get up, walk around, so they weren't sitting for any longer than an hour or so. You want to keep reminders that help you maintain these time blocks on your calendar, so that if you know that you have something else coming up, you may want to set a 10-minute notification or a reminder that, hey, you know, in 10 minutes, you have a phone call with so-and-so. Does anybody have any questions or comments on time blocking?
I also color code my time blocking. So like my lead gen is pink. Or actually, no, my lead gen's green now. Anything that is generating money, whether
Money,
it's lead
green.
generation or an appointment, if it equals money and potential income, it's green. Pink is my personal stuff, doctor appointment, eye doctor appointment, etc.
Yep.
Yellow is stuff that I could leverage out. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. And it makes me identify how much I could be leveraging out, and maybe I need to just poop and get off the pot and find somebody to leverage it to.
I love that. Absolutely love that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
So some people use a red, green, yellow, sort of like green is priority, yellow is sort of, not as important, and red is anytime.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can I make a recommendation for that?
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's not a priority, it should not be on your schedule.
Good point.
That would make Gary leap out of our first floor window if he saw somebody doing that with their calendar. And so let me take that a step further. I was just about to say, make sure that when we're building our calendar, we're pretty specific, not even pretty, very specific in what we're doing. Because what we'll see agents do is people will fill their calendar from 8 to noon, 9 to 11. It's green. It's the favorite shade of green. And it says lead gen. What does that mean, Tim? I'm going to do some stuff. Like what are you going to do? Like, is that a 2-hour nap? Are you going to do like, are you going to do lead gen insofar as pick up the phone? Is it door knocking that day? Like let's be specific about what we're going to do. Somebody just put in the chat, who are you going to call? Make that draft board the night before. Here are the 20 conversations I'm going to have. When I call Doyle, I'll talk about red tools and note cards. When I call Nathan Dickey, I'll talk about craft beer and steam cars, like things that I know I can talk to them about to get them talking about their passion. So it's not like, hey, I'm calling about business. And not that that's a bad script, but have that game plan for the next day and just knowing what you're going to do. Don't just put lead generation, because that will just turn into pancakes and comfy pants and the price is right. And then nothing gets done.
And then I put on my calendar when I need to call Lindsay, we talk about Liberty Mutual.
Good point. I love Erin's post, you know, who are you going to call? Make a list. And then some of us responded Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I got that from like a lot of people privately.
It was in my head. I just didn't have the guts to say it.
I privately typed it. Couldn't resist.
Well, and going back to the comment about if it's not a priority, it shouldn't be on your calendar. And I'm not here to should all over you. I'm just making a recommendation. When you're making your list of things to do, Gary would say there's no such thing as a pluralized priorities. There is a priority every day. So when you have your list of things, let's get it down from the, getting all the should do stuff off your list to what needs to be done. And then if it's 9 things, 8 things, whatever the list is, enumerate them, and then go back through the list and decide on this list, what does Erin's face need to be at? What do I need to do today? The other things, instead of green, yellow, and red, as somebody was speaking about before, the yellow things might be, well, they're important, just not that important. I would ask you to take the list and break it down to do, delegate, and dump. What do I need to do? What things could be delegated to other people that could quite honestly be more talented in that venue and do it better than me? And then there are things on our list every day, and we're all guilty of this, of things that no one in our life that we love should be touching, right? Like nobody I care about should be bothered with this task, yet it's going to pull me out of all the other things that are important to me, especially my due for the day, right?
So really just quick before we move on, I just want to make sure we make the point too that when you're building your schedule and you're building your lead generation plan, right now you're going to have a big block of time if you're new to the business and you don't have a lot of, you're building your pipeline, right? So you don't have active clients yet. As you begin to have active clients, and if you've been in the business a while, you're going to shake your head yes to this. That time of who is the priority gets confusing. So keep an eye on the fact that you always want to be lead generating. So you're always building that into your schedule, and your follow up and follow through with your current clients is a separate time block. It is not the same time. So I just want to make that distinction because I think it can be really confusing when you're an active agent with a very full pipeline. So just putting that out there.
Good point.
Can I ask a question regarding trying to organize your tasks and whatnot and reminders? So I had somebody I'm working with and I wanted to flag myself that I wanted to follow up with her in 2 weeks. So I put it as a task in command, but I put the due date as the day that I was planning on calling her. But it's not in my face to remind me. Like, is there a certain way I should have been doing it to see
It'll
it?
pop up. It'll pop up.
But will it pop up on the 20th?
It'll pop up on the day that you do to do that task. So when you open your command that morning, you're going to have a task on your dashboard that says call Mary.
So if I ever want to see something ahead of time, just to kind of, because I'm the type of person I want to kind of see what's coming up next to plan my day, I would want to maybe make the due date like the day before or something, just so it's sitting on my task looking at me. Right.
So you could have a task to call Mary on the 20th, but you could set up on the 19th a reminder that you have the task if that's how you want to do it.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Because I use the tasks all the time.
Yeah, I was trying to do
my
that.
second,
like, where's my task?
Yeah, they're my second brain. I check every morning and see what I'm supposed to do because it'll be there first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and you can move the location on your dashboard. So if your tasks are not currently at the top of your dashboard when you go into command, move them there so you can see it when you log in.
That part's there. So I work with Ken Tassi and he helped us with all that.
Oh, good.
Wonderful. But yeah, when I went to go do my very first task to remind me, I'm like, I just made it. And I ended up creating it 2 different ways, one from the actual contact and one on the task page, because I'm like, where did it go? And now I see it's because of the due date. I guess until that due date comes up, you're not going to see the task. So I'm just going to need to change the dates or maybe throw dates in on my task to flag me that it might not be due that day, but to looking forward, it's going to be coming up in a week or whatever. Okay.
Okay. All right. So in the book, The One Thing, I'm sure you've all heard of this, Gary cited Dr. Gail Matthews, who found that individuals who wrote down their goals are 39.5% more likely to succeed. But individuals who wrote down their goals and shared the progress with a friend or an accountability partner or their coach were 76.7% more likely to succeed. Why do you think that just writing down the goal versus sharing the goal, why there's such a significant difference in percentage points of achievement?
Because you're held accountable to the people that you say that you're going to do something to.
Yeah, because I mean, do we want to put it out there and not achieve something and then feel like we let somebody down, we let ourselves down or somebody else? So we're going to look at how the accountability cycle is going to help maximize your success. This cycle starts off with set goals and then do the key activities, measure your results, evaluate the process, make adjustments, and go back and set new goals. So this reminds me of the book, The 12-Week Year. I don't know if anybody has heard of it or if anybody, Tim, I don't know if you're reading it, or Erin, I don't know if you've read it. Oh, look at that. Good job, Tim.
Yeah, I think
we read it.
Erin will correct me because I'm always wrong. I think Nathan, this was our book report due in November, I believe.
For our October, I thought, for our goal setting, our leadership.
Oh, you're right. See, wrong again.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So once a month, Grandpa Dickie gives us a book to read, and this was October for us.
Gotcha.
It's about chunking it down.
Gotcha.
Phenomenal
Well,
book.
Jen Bovey gave that to Sam and I and the rest of the leadership to read. We read it in November and we started applying our first 12 weeks. So what it does is it basically says, instead of using an annual goal, setting your goals for a 12-month year, break it down into 12-week years so that every 12 week you go through, you can set your goals, work them through the 12 weeks. And when it comes to the final week, see how you've gone back, look at it, evaluate what you've done, make changes, and then set new goals for the next 12 weeks. So this slide right here, when I looked at it last night, I said, my gosh, that's a 12-week year right there. So what it's telling you is by putting that accountability is a crucial part of achieving your goals. And when you report to someone else what you've done to make progress on your goals, you gain more focus and motivation. Think about accountability as a process. It's difficult to maintain drive over a long term. Even during the 12-week year, that 12 weeks that I'm working, I have more energy and more drive than what I would over a 12-week year. When you have to defend your activities to an objective observer, it becomes easier to stay focused. So when you have that accountability partner that you're working with, or maybe it's your coach that you're working with and you're setting these goals, he or she is going to want to follow up with you and make sure that you're sticking to the activities and that you're actually tracking the results from these activities. As you're doing them, you're also evaluating what's working good, what's not working so good. And then as you're going along, you may want to make some adjustments. Well, maybe you're doing lead generation in the afternoon. Maybe you need to switch it to the morning or vice versa. And then when you set new goals for your next 12 weeks or for your next week, whatever you're doing, you're going to want to make sure that talking with this accountability partner, you're bouncing ideas off of them and getting good feedback from them to help you achieve the goals that you set.
So no center.
That makes sense?
So I have to cancel.
All right, there's somebody that's talking. I can hear them.
Okay.
All right. So who here has accountability partners? Is
I
this
have two.
something, Jessica, that you feel that you would be able to do with your accountability partner?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. My accountability partner is my business partner, so my success is her success and vice versa.
Okay. Anybody else?
I do. In a couple of ways.
Yep.
Another agent. And then we have the luxury of Timothy C. Lindsay to meet with, which is invaluable.
Well, you guys are absolutely, there's no doubt that you are extremely lucky with having Tim. And Tim will
Yeah.
tell you that too.
Well, nobody have any thoughts about that because we will stalk you and haunt you, and he's staying with us. So
The smartest thing I did was give them a choice. Now they have Erin to skate to. So yeah. Yeah. Taster's choice at our market center.
yep, having two and kind of separated out a little bit by offices, sort of, kind of, maybe not at all, but we're very lucky. But then to also have another agent to talk to, we've done twice a week for, I don't know, probably 4 years or so now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Accountability is really important. And it's not, the slide tells us accountability is a dynamic cycle. It's not a static concept. So it's something that you're always working on. It's always changing. It's like a river, or an ocean. It's ebbing, it's flowing. If it becomes static, then it might be time to switch up your accountability partner. And it's a tool for changing. It's a tool for achieving results.
Hey, Jennifer, Kim, can you mute yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, I could
Heidi,
hear-
if you make me a co-host, I can keep an eye on that for you.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That was funny. I got to stop this and see. How do I make you the co-host now?
Go next to my name, and there'll be a button
You
that
can
says
make both
more.
of us co-hosts.
You can make me a host.
Yeah, I believe she's an agent in new construction, and apparently there's some new construction going on. That's my guess. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then just next to my name, there should be a button that says more or 3 dots, and then you
Cue
can
the bandsaw
add
and the
me as a
drill.
co-host.
Okay. There's nothing on the 3 dots that says make co-host.
If you hover over my name.
More.
Yep.
Nope.
Maybe because you're the co-host, you can't assign other co-hosts.
Oh,
so you can actually mute everybody.
I just muted her.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I would love to be able to help you. I'll text Cassie to see if she can come in and just change me and Tim so we can help you.
Yeah, I don't have the access to do it. Sorry.
I'll do that. That's okay.
And if anybody knows Jennifer, can we make sure she's okay? Because it doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
Well, I've just muted her right now. So, all right. So let's move on here. Go back to sharing. That was funny. I get great joy out of things like that. I just think it's hysterical.
I couldn't
Seriously.
tell if it was a toilet flushing or tools.
No, it was a toilet. It was perfect.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Accountability. Create a plan for accountability. Share your goals. Plan your check-ins and make a date. So you're going to share your goal with your accountability partner, whatever you have down, their long-term, medium-term, short-term goals, they're your weekly goals. You're going to plan your check-ins. How often do you need to check in? Is it something that you're going to do once a week? Are you going to do it once a day? What's your method of communication? Phone call, text message. Hopefully it's a phone call or a face-to-face, depending on your comfort level. And then you're going to make a date. When and where will you check in? Back when we could have coffee in coffee places, I used to meet my accountability partner and we'd have a coffee. We would do it once a week. I would turn into about a good half an hour, 45-minute meeting, but it worked well for us. This was probably a little bit further when I was into my business and had a little bit more to talk about. So For those of you, again, I know I started it off this class saying, if you don't have an accountability partner, please find somebody here on Ignite, reach out to them, check with your coach or your mentor or your TL in your market center and see if they can help you find an accountability partner. I really, truly believe that it's an important person to have on your team that you're working with to help you grow your business, especially here in the beginning. It really solidified my business by having somebody to work with and knowing that we were both in the same boat and we could help each other. Okay.
Heidi, can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Do you think that the account, or not think, but is the process to have an accountability partner like daily or weekly? How do you usually work that out?
I'm going to ask Tim and Erin to pipe in on this one. For me, in the beginning, it was a daily call that I would have. It lasted all of 15 minutes.
Amen.
And it was just this quick first thing in the morning when after I meditated, I'd have my cup of coffee and I would check in with her name was Trisha. I would check in with her every single day, Monday through Friday, for no more than 10, 15 minutes, just to go over, these are our goals for today. This is what we're doing. And then we would say, whatever happened the day before, did we achieve those goals? That's how I started out. Okay. What about Erin or Tim?
Go ahead, Erin.
I had a couple different ones because I very early on I did Bold, I think the first. So I had some partners from Bold and yeah, so it was daily with one and then weekly with another accountability partner. So I had a couple different people that held me accountable for a while. And then coaches too. But yeah, really quick, like this is what you said you were going to do. What did you do? Yeah. Not like, how are the kids conversation.
No.
Right. So different from your productivity coach, basically,
yes.
is what you're saying. Okay.
It was different. My productivity coaching conversations were weekly or monthly,
As infrequently as possible because I was their coach. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, she's like, oh God, Lindsay again.
No, never.
It was such a pleasure.
But yeah, no, it was the accountability was different. It was the two agents who were brand new like me, and we were like, hey, did you make your 20 calls? Who did you talk to? How did it go? What are you going to work on today? We did an affirmation. I had an affirmation for the week, so I would share that and just on with the day.
Love it. Thank you.
I'm
That's
good
all
enough.
very
I'm
helpful.
smart enough, and people like me.
Yes. Darn it.
Yeah, gosh
darn
darn
it.
it.
People want to talk to me. Let's go buy some houses or sell some houses. That's what it was.
Somebody had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So earlier, Tim, you said like it's a good idea not to choose a friend of yours for that.
I think it may be helpful. Yes.
Yeah. No, and I completely understand that, but this is going to sound. But everybody turns into my friend, right? Like if I'm going to talk to you for a while, we'll be friends, and then I'll want to know.
Because she's good enough, she's smart enough. People like her. Yeah.
But
sure.
you know what I mean? Like.
No, understood.
Like I have somebody now that's my accountability partner, but we're becoming good friends.
Yeah.
And I think us derailing each other.
Yeah. Based on what Erin just said, I was going to dovetail off of that. Earlier, I recommended, I think having your relationship with your local productivity coach is really important. Above and beyond that, having that peer in the foxhole who's at your production level that you can call your script partner in the morning at 7:45, to Erin's point, 15 minutes on and off, a couple of ejections and give them the win, and you get on your way, right? It's that bucket of balls you hit before you go play 18. The accountability buddy, that 5 at 5, the 4:55 conversation. Did you do what you said you were going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Could be a completely different person. And to your point about developing relationships, of course, I mean, unless you're an absolute tyrant, you're probably going to grow into a relationship with these people.
Right.
That being said, I think you need to consistently roll your scripting partners and your accountability buddies, because you do get to a point where you start to let each other off the hook.
Yeah.
Even in MAPS coaching, they recommend you should be moving the conversation through. That's the difficulty for productivity coaches like Heidi and Sam and Erin and myself is, we're in the clubhouse and it's very easy. And Diana Kokoska always says this, that the brain loves novelty unless we're able to change the conversation, because we are invariably saying the same thing over and over again. Like I joke with my agents, I've been in this role for 7 years. I'm like the teacher from the Peanuts. Wah, 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 wah. It's never going to change though. I'm not waking up like there's a new way to do business. All of those things that we should be doing on a regular basis in this industry are tried and true. It's about me saying it to you differently. And again, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You might be sitting on this path to greatness and then one day have an enlightenment because you heard Erin say something for the 9 trillionth time, but you are ready to finally hear it and act, right? So I think, yes, you'll start to feel the relationship go stale. And on Monday with your scripting partner, you're talking about, you know, the Patriots and how awesome they're going to be. And like, that's when you're not doing what you should be doing in those 14 minutes and 59 seconds.
Right.
And it's out of love. Like, hey, we've outgrown each other.
Okay.
And we both need next level. Let's go find somebody else. There'll always be an allied resource for you in this career. You just need to find that next new partner to hold you to a new level of accountability. Because some people that you align yourself with won't grow with you.
Yeah.
And we should always be top grading our talent, right? You know, if you're the smartest person at the table, switch tables, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you for that so much.
So in the chat message, we have Karen Walton has put down that she's looking for an accountability partner. So if anybody is looking, please put your information, your contact information in the chat message, and then just grab 1 or 2 people and see if you can set something up.
Yeah, Erin and I are building an app. Instead of Tinder, it's going to be called Scripter. So we'll have you guys matching up soon. Swipe right, get into business, do it.
You know, we don't pay him for this. This is just natural. This is just the benefit that
This
you
is
get.
all unvetted, horrible
day,
stuff that I come
every
up with on a
day,
regular
Heidi,
basis.
all
Stream
day,
of consciousness, welcome.
I
And if
know,
you're
you
waiting
always
to
make
wait,
me want to move to
here all week.
Portsmouth.
Exhausted. All I can say is that Sam is the silent, quiet type. Perfect. All right. So at this time, I think what we're going to do is we're going to spice things up a little bit. We're not going to do breakout script practice. I thought at this time what we could do is you have 4 productivity coaches here. I thought the productivity coaches could go over some scripts that you guys could listen to. And then if you wanted to decide to practice with a productivity coach while we're all listening, that's what we do instead of doing breakout rooms. Because I don't like breakout rooms. Too many people disappear on me. I lose people. It's like a black hole or something like that. So out of the 4 productivity coaches, which pair would like to volunteer to go first? I heard Tim. Tim, you're awesome. Great. I heard Sam. How about Sam? All right. So we're going to listen to Tim and Sam. They're going to go over either.
What are we doing?
You can do want to do a forward script.
Sure.
You want to do a buyer lead sheet.
What does everybody want to go over? What's the greatest need right now? Are people struggling? Who's struggling with the Ford conversation? There's one hand. Thank you, Mary. Nobody else. Everybody's good. Awesome. Let's make calls then. No, there'll be cake. No. Renee said she wants to hear the Ford script.
I would
Yeah, we
say
do the
the
Ford
only thing
script.
I'm struggling with the Ford script is keeping it a script and not a 2-hour phone call.
Yeah, great point. I joked last week about getting those baby blocks with the letters on them, and I used to keep FORD in front of me. And just as I knew I had accomplished that portion of the conversation, because we don't want to drill through it. I mean, so Sam, do you want to call me and forward me?
I honestly don't know the Ford script.
Okay.
So
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Oh, perfect. Forward me, Heidi. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Tim, it's Heidi Kelly. This is a business call. Do you have a minute or 2?
I'm in the middle of making cake, but sure, I can stop.
Well, that's great because I'm going to be done pretty quick.
Awesome.
And then I'll come over and I'll get a piece.
Love that.
So, Tim, it's been a little while. I'm just calling and seeing how you and the family are doing.
We're doing great. I appreciate you asking. I mean, in the face of everything, the boys are in school and Janina's gone back to her office. She was home for a little bit and I've been going to my office the entire time. So there's a decent sense of normal. How are you?
We're doing pretty good here. Yep. Staying healthy and continuing to work.
Excellent.
So how's business going? You guys have been, you're definitely working, you said, going into the office.
Yeah, I think we had concerns back in March because we weren't sure what this was going to present, but it created a pretty good opportunity in our industry. So things have been good. We're very fortunate. Yeah.
That's great. I noticed the same thing on my end. Now, have you guys planned anything? I know that you usually plan something in July for vacation. Are you still planning it this year?
Yeah, we always go to the Cape, and we're pretty fortunate that the space that we have is at the end of a really long private road, and it was pretty quiet last year, and we're looking forward to having that same privacy and space this year, because Lord knows if the 13th variant of COVID is coming. So we're going to do that again. We'll be down there the second week of July. What are you guys doing?
Great. Well, we typically go to Disney. We went for Christmas. It was the best time to go during the pandemic. So
everything's really clean and nobody's there. That's a
it
good
really
idea.
is. So we're planning on going in June. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, I know you had talked about learning to ski. Was that something that you were able to accomplish last year, or have you made plans to do it this year?
Yeah, we did get out and ski. I hadn't done it in forever, so getting back on opposing sticks on really short legs is a challenge. But we made it happen. I also tried snowboarding, and I split my Odie split end, so I'm probably not going to do that anymore. I think I'm going to stick to just Coco in the lodge and maybe some skiing. The Bunny Hill's great. If you've been to Bretton Woods, they have peanut butter jelly and fluff, and that's where I do my best work. So yeah.
That's awesome. I've never skied a day in my life, and I don't think I plan on taking it.
Yeah,
up
I
this
enjoy
time.
it, and I don't recommend it. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah.
Well, that's great. Hey, Tim, I'm really glad that I was able to catch up with you. I'm glad to hear that the family's doing well. And
Thank
it
you, Heidi.
sounds like you've taken on the sideline of cake making. That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh yeah, and all my free time. Yeah.
Right. Well, this was good catching up. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope everything continues to go well and everybody stays healthy. And I'll check in with you in a little bit later.
I appreciate that, Heidi. Have a great night.
You too, Tim.
Bye-bye.
So I didn't mention anything about real estate. Why? Because it's not all about real estate, right?
You want to get them to tell their story.
Yeah, I want to hear what's going on in their life. I am, my wife says this, I'm a talker. I like hearing people's stories. I like hearing the good, the bad, the ugly. I just like hearing about people. And I find that, at least in my business, by knowing their story and knowing what their life is like, that's how I end up getting business, and that's how I end up getting referrals. I don't hit people over the head with a sledgehammer to get business. It just seems to be something that naturally comes as I stay in contact with my database. And it doesn't have to always be phone calls. It can be, the other day, she posted a picture of her 9-year-old daughter. I remember when that little girl was 5 years old, and we were out there looking for houses with her mom, and she would play with every single toy in the house that we were in. And now she's this grown-up 9-year-old girl. And I texted her mom and I said, I'm getting so old. I can't believe Maddie is this size now, and look at how grown up she is. And we went back to remembering what it was like looking for houses together and just making that connection.
Heidi.
Yeah.
When you made the call, when Tim picked up, did I hear you correctly though? State, hi Tim, this is a business call.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say that? But then you never spoke business.
I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't. What I wanted to do with that was to be able to say, because even connecting with him on a personal level, it's still part of my business. I didn't want him to think that this was a call that was going to be laissez-faire. We were going to lie around and talk about, everything and anything. And it was a purposeful call.
Yeah, she was setting the parameters. She was going to be respectful of my time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that because, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I was just going to say, I guess to me, it's confusing, right? Because if I had a friend call me and say that it's a business call, and then I'm kind of anticipating the ask a little bit. So I'm like,
sure,
you're going to get to it at some point.
Yeah, I felt the same way about that because she
So
said
Liz,
business and then she said business and she never mentioned it. And I also thought by her saying, this is a business call, she was trying to get, to kind of keep it, time constraint. You said you're making a cake, but I can stop for a minute. But then she never rolled it in. you know,
if I was, if
I
I
get
was
that
the
she was
friend,
respecting.
if I was the friend, I would have asked what the business point of the call was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
true.
Well, so where were there opportunities that Heidi could have moved in that direction? There were 3 at least where she could have moved in that direction.
I think she could have asked about his home situation. I don't know if he was an ex-buyer of hers or client, or he's getting a client, so I don't know. Well, I'm gonna make it up that he had bought something and is like looking to buy something else for like a repeat client. So
When Heidi asked me about the Cape, and I mentioned that we've been going down there a long time, she could have gone down that road and said, are you guys, you've been going there for years, Tim. Are you guys going to continue to rent, or is there an opportunity moving forward? Do you guys see property down there? The place that you rent on a regular basis, is that something you would eventually want to, is there a rent to own conversation? Is there, with the consistency of going down there, is there something you think, is that the town that you love, Brewster? Would you want to purchase something? I mentioned Bretton Woods. I brought it up. And especially right now, I think there's the desire where people could just go live in Bretton Woods if they wanted to, because there's a lot of people, like Twitter said, their whole ecosystem could work from home for the rest of forever. So there's that opportunity. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to go into something that's getting turned every 168 hours, right? I'm not going to go up tobogganing every week. Yet if I grab that second house, if I grab that ski house and I'm cash flowing it 48 weeks out of the year, and we're going skiing for 4 weeks out of the year, does that make sense? So there were different opportunities throughout the conversation where she could have gone there, but she kept it personal. She kept it brief. I understand what she said. It was a business call, and then we never got there. It could be confusing. At the same time, as the call ended, I just took that as though she was setting the precedent that this is good. I'm going to be respectful of your time. It's the middle of the business day. I just wanted to connect, right? And we could also weave into the forward conversation just the care calls to you, asking how we can serve.
For that conversation, like the way I think about things, because I don't have business conversations unless there's like current business. Usually I build business a little bit differently. One of the things that I got from that talk that I would have done is a little note card after the conversation in the mail with maybe something about a listing in a vacation area. And that's a second touch point. And it means that you listen to them and they get a little cute piece of mail. So that's what I would have done, because then it doesn't feel salesy anymore.
Yeah. So in looking at the scripts, and this is something that has been confusing to me, and thank you, Heidi, for doing that, because the Ford script seems more like the care call to me. It doesn't seem like the business call. It seems like this is the care call. You're calling to check in with people. You're seeing how they are. You're asking them about, their family, their dreams, their whatever. And then the other scripts where either you're reminding them that you're in real estate, you're introducing them to the fact that you've become a new agent. That's where those scripts come in. Is that correct? Or we can just use them, however, and make them our own that way?
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Looking at the bones of the Ford call and the fraud, and that you'll hear it referred to primarily as the Ford script. You'll also hear it referred to as FROG, family, recreation, occupation, goals. Either of those are the basic tenets of most human conversation. You're going to ask about those 4 categories, and that's why they've been, put in that acronym format so people can remember them easier. I think any conversation, back to Jason Abrams, and Erin's going to jump on this, back to Jason Abrams, any conversation that starts with the Adele script, hello, like that's really the opening salvo to any human interaction. Unless you're mad at them, maybe you just punch them in the neck, but usually it's hello. And after that, the rest of it's just going to come up. How's your family? How is work? Are you skiing, recreation? And hey, you mentioned buying on the Cape. That was a dream of yours. Did you guys achieve that this year? How can I help? Right. And that's a super direct way to get there. But those 4 pillars just allow us to navigate a natural human interaction that could get us to the point where we're helping them explain what success looks like for them and their loved ones. It's not about us getting to the end point of, oh, cool, you're buying something. Do you work today? It's going to be different for everybody. And Erin's got more.
Hi, this is John. I don't have a hand up on my screen. I thought that was a great call, and I don't have an issue with those, but the ones that Erin has up on the screen reminding you're in real estate, or I've moved my real estate, if you start with Ford, it seems to me very disingenuous, because then all of a sudden, I would think it'd be more comfortable to flip flop it and say right from the beginning, like Heidi said, this is a business call. Hey, guess what? I've just moved to real estate, and then get into the Ford piece of it. I mean, what's your feeling about that?
So here's the magic of scripts is that they're the language of our profession, right? Whatever's going to be your way of delivering it, once you've internalized it, if this format of, you know, you want to start with, hey, it's Erin, and I'd like to share some exciting news with you. I've moved into real estate business with Keller Williams. How's the family? If that feels like that is the better segue, like certainly you're still using the script, right, as the foundation for what you're doing. And what the reason I put these up on the screen was really to demonstrate this is 3 ways that you can use the Ford conversation, right? So that's showing you that this model for a conversation can be applied in different ways, right? So we can talk about it in that I'm new to real estate. I can call you to say I'm new to Keller Williams if I'm moving to Keller Williams from another company. If I haven't spoken to you for a while, I'm calling to remind you that, hey, I still have my real estate license and I still help people buy and sell homes. How are you? I haven't talked to you in a while. And how's the family? How's work? I've had a really crazy year. I helped 25 families this year. And despite all the stuff going on with the pandemic, how's your work been? Right? Like it becomes pretty seamless because you have a model to build and keep you on track.
It's kind of interesting because I've been talking since the first day we started talking about this. And it's interesting. I mean, I'm home. I call my friends all the time they haven't talked to in a while and say, hey, what are you doing? And I have no problem telling them I'm taking real estate classes and that. But the minute it becomes part of the reason for the call, I feel uncomfortable. So flip-flopping it for me would probably work better. So thank you.
And that's
I feel similarly.
Yeah, it's
same.
all about the language. And also as a coach, I would urge you to explore why you feel uncomfortable having a conversation with them specifically about your real estate business, right?
You're being so kind. I'm just going to tell, is it Jonna? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Said with love, kiddo. Get over it.
Yeah.
You are absolutely worried that the way you feel about the call you're about to make is going to insult other people.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't know you got Ford in front of you. They don't know you have building blocks. They don't know your coach just yelled at you. They don't know that you have these goals set out. And honestly, they're not this, they're going to be part of this conversation, and you're going to decide how you can serve them today.
Well, it's interesting. In the first day or one of the couple of days, we talked about cold calls versus warm calls. And the warm calls are to people in your community or your sphere. I think I'd be much more comfortable in a cold call because if I'm going to be embarrassed, I'd rather be someone I don't know. So I do need to get over it.
I will. People who feel a lot of those calls are people that you know that are in your sphere. Don't you think that people in your sphere want you to be successful and they want to help you build your confidence with your business? I mean,
great point, Jessica. If you guys opened a restaurant tomorrow, would your friends come to eat?
Yeah,
Say
your friends
yes,
don't
they
you.
would.
I think you're right, but
in my long
I
career,
hear
I very rarely talk about my career with my friends. So it's going to be kind of weird to make that flip flop.
Well, think about it the other way. How many of you have friends that sell Pampered Chef or leggings?
I don't like it when they call.
Right. So,
Let's be
how
honest.
do they come at you? And how can you be different about that? And at
Right.
the end of the day, probably what they're doing is not maintaining the relationship. They're spamming you on social media. They're sending you emails. They're texting you. They're messaging you invites to parties, right? So when we lean into that, because it feels less personal and less, it's like more, I'm not going to get rejected to my face. I'm going to do that, right? Like, but think about how that makes you feel as a consumer. You might be interested in the product, but the way that the salesperson's coming at you doesn't feel good. So be a human talking to humans and hey, I have some expertise in an area that, and to be honest, people, everyone is interested in real estate. Everyone wants to talk to you about it. Just like you felt before you got your license, you loved looking at houses and you love talking about it and thinking about it. Your friends do too. Like, bring them into your world. Tell them what you're learning about. Hey, I toured 10 houses this week. Do you know what? I took a class on mold. Do you want to know what I learned about mold? Right? Like, your friends want to know. So tell them, like, if that's where, make it conversational and comfortable. And that's where this Ford is helpful, right? So
Yeah.
it gives you a framework and it keeps you on task. So
I think the Ford questions are really an opportunity for you to sort of, you're actually, even if you don't know it, you're having the conversation about real estate, or what you're trying to do is discover little nuggets that can allow you to segue over the topic, like, hey, oh yeah, the kids just, graduated high school. Oh, okay. So that may get you thinking, okay, these guys are going to be empty nesters. Where can I go for that? It's nuanced. But what I always do is if it's, and it completely depends on the level of familiarity, right? Like if it's a friend, it's like, hey, Tim, it's Matt Riley. How's it going, man? It's been a while. Everything going okay? How's the family? What's new and exciting? And then forward, and listen for change in that conversation. Then what I always do is I say, well, listen, I know you're aware that I've gotten into real estate. One of the things that I've got to do, obviously, is to always look for opportunities to drum up business. I'm just wondering if you happen to know anybody that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Yes or no, whatever. Well, listen, man, I'd really appreciate it if you keep in mind, I have to rely on the generosity of my friends to grow my business. And I think they appreciate that level of honesty. So
yeah, for sure.
For me, the Ford is about discovery with that individual. And then I'm always looking for a referral at the end of the conversation.
Maddie makes a great point, because you're all going to lie to yourselves at some point and be like, you know what, Tim, you know what, Aaron, you know what, Heidi, I've talked to everybody on planet Earth. First of all, you haven't. I love you anyway. And more importantly, everyone on planet Earth knows that Mary O'Neill is in real estate. Cool. Does everyone on planet Earth know that Mary O'Neill requires their help to do what she does in real estate? They don't. They don't. And Matt makes a great point. Being, care and candor, being very upfront about the fact that, hey, I require your support to get this done. And I love analogies. I think you guys know that by now. I would use the analogy, like, I know if I owned a restaurant, you guys would come and rock and roll at least once a month, right? And I just need you to keep me ever mindful when you hear anybody sneeze about real estate, please bring me up. I'll circle the wagons with you next week, Maddie, to check back in on you. And if you can derive no matter what they're looking for in their life at that point in time, some sort of value that makes you sticky to them, so you've earned the permission to stay engaged. That's the difference between a lead and a contact, right? So Gary would say the lead is, I've got a chance to talk to Matt Riley, who I've never spoken to. After I break engagement with Matt Riley, have I been given permission to stay engaged? And now he's a contact in my universe. My job is to move him out of the water, into my boat, into my ambassadorship, and to ask him, as I'm pulling him into my ambassadorship, who's that dude over there on dry land? That's Nate Dickey. Cool. What's he into? Craft beer and cars. Awesome.
And old boats.
Yeah, and old boats. Yeah, and then I start talking to Nathan. And my fifth conversation with Matt Riley's my first conversation with with Nathan Dickey, and that's why we always joke you have to tell everyone in your life 7 times you're in real estate before they forget. Your work is never done. Said with love.
Interesting.
I think also, if you can think about the things that you're like building on what Tim's saying, the things that you're interested in, that you have in common, the ways that you can connect people. Part of your business should be networking with other business owners. How can I help you to grow your business? And we can grow our businesses in tandem. What kind of clients are you looking for, right? All these things we've been talking about in Ignite, they make us connectors to our community. Right. So when you talk to someone and they say, oh, we're thinking about doing this or doing that. Hey, I might have somebody that could help you with that. Or, if you're looking for something in the community, let me know, because I might always have a resource for you, right? Be a resource for your people so that when you're calling, you're not always taking from them, right? We're coming from contribution. So that's the piece I think that feels yucky, right? Is that we're trying to take from people.
Yeah.
Don't be a taker, be a giver.
Matty Howard has his paw
Yeah,
up.
oh, I
Go ahead.
see.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to
I was literally just gonna say what Aaron just said and bring it back to that conversation that you and Heidi had during the Ford call, that no real estate talk was exchanged. But if a week goes by and Heidi follows up with an email that says, "Oh, I just found out that Bretton Woods is having a deal 2-for-1 next Thursday," boom, all of a sudden, and then her, obviously her email signature right there, Heidi Kelly, realtor at Keller Williams. "Oh yeah, my cousin just said that they're gonna start to look for a house." Boom, there it is. That conversation doesn't always have to be that way. And she came from contribution saying, "Oh, here's a great deal because you just mentioned that you ski at Bretton Woods." Boom.
Yeah.
The 5 most powerful words on earth are "I was thinking about you."
Yes.
Right? They're never going to be insulted.
That said, after the conversations that I do have with my database, I'm putting notes in.
Yeah,
my command,
and
I
again,
put
back
my
to Aaron's
notes in.
point, I just had that conversation with someone last week, a coworker that I used to work with before we got laid off from the massage business. She's like, "I'm going back to school to look at marketing and business." And another conversation I had with someone I've been reaching out to in my sphere said, "Oh, I run a marketing business for this, that, and the other thing." I was like, "Great. Can I link you two up? Let's get you guys in a room together. You guys can start a conversation to see where that goes." So it's just those things, you make those connections. Like, that doesn't benefit me in either way, but they'll think of me like, "Oh, Matt was a great guy to make that connection to," if they both benefit from each other from that. So
we're in the relationship business, and it takes time to build a relationship, and it takes lots of different kinds of conversations. Every now and then you're going to stumble on someone, you're going to call them and be like, "Hey, I was thinking I needed a realtor just this moment. Can you come tomorrow and list my house?" That is going to happen. If you make enough calls, it will happen. And when that happens, celebrate it. But most of the time, you're really building relationships, right? Yep. And it takes time. And then as your pipeline fills up and you've had enough conversations, the business starts to kind of come together. So it's about being genuine and finding those things that connect you. And the Ford conversation is a framework. It's just a framework. And if you're doing your 10-4, it will make it all easier. We're a systems and models company for a reason, because we know they work. Mm-hmm. So
what was that again, Aaron? I want to write that down. Systems and models. Huh.
Right.
What is this sorcery you speak of?
Yeah, people have lived before you.
Yeah.
Let's follow what we know that works.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing and just go back to Jonna and give her a little bit of encouragement there? Because I fully get it's easier to call cold calls or expireds or people that you don't know. And the people sort of not my closest friends, but people on the outer sphere are the scariest ones to me. But I did it last night, finally broke through, and it was like the best conversation possible.
Good.
Like, she was so warm and happy to hear from me and excited about like my new career, where I was sure she was going to just be like I had this preconceived notion that she would be like, "Why are you calling me for real estate? I'm not selling. Close up the doors. See you later. Bye." And she didn't turn out to be selling anytime in the future, but might want to buy a vacation home in Newburyport and wants to buy a condo for her son. So like, there's lots of stuff that could come of that. And I was so scared, and it was just a great normal conversation. And now I can call all of them because I'm not.
At what point in the conversation did you bring up the real estate piece of it?
Like all over the place from beginning to end. Yeah.
Real estate all over her.
It really did.
Yeah.
But it was like,
Yeah.
it was just normal conversation. I think she brought it up first, actually. Because we're friends on Facebook, and she's like, I'm so excited for you. I've seen that you've made a career shift. And I was like, thank you so much. I just kind of went into that and how it's meant to be. And this is what I should have always been doing, and blah, blah, blah.
Just run like an audio trailer. Please hold for this real estate conversation, and all the lights dim and everything. Yeah. We're actually going to have you, call Paige's Aunt Lori. Calling people. Yeah. It's going to be great.
Do it. Yeah, and she might even, I'm gonna send her a card today because there was a little piece in there where she might even want to become a real estate agent at some point.
Profit share.
What's that?
Profit share.
Hold your profit share.
Yeah. It was like a win-win-win-win-win conversation.
Well, that's important to remember too. We joked about the BLT of real estate, right? Everyone you're talking to, you're looking for listings, buyers, and talent.
Yeah.
They might not be interested in buying, selling, or investing. Maybe I mean, especially right now, the most volatile thing in our world right now is employment. A lot of people in the next 12 months, 24 months are going to be looking for something new to do in an industry that is still thriving. Dare I say that out loud? Go ahead.
Shh, quiet, Pam.
God's
But I was just going to say that, Mary, you completely confirmed the point that everyone wants to talk about real estate.
Yeah.
So if you have this limiting belief that people don't want to talk to you about what it is that you're doing in your business, or you maybe haven't talked to them about your career in the past, well, you can decide in this moment that they are interested because they're your friends and your family and they love you and they want to hear about what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Just like you want to hear about what they're doing. And bring people into your world.
Yeah, and I went into it with the goal of hoping to get her to sell her house because I actually do have a friend that wants to break into her neighborhood. But it did. So when she was like, oh, no, we're not going to go anywhere. I just shifted it to the next thing, and I was like, all right, how about your neighbors? And, it was just this long, good conversation that I used so many different scripts within that, and that scripting practice really helped too. But
awesome.
Anyway, I won't keep going on about it, but I was very, very excited that I finished that call. And John, I totally get that feeling. Those are the scariest people.
Thank you.
In the world. Yeah. Because I'm 100% convinced that once I call one, they're going to hang up and call all my other friends and say,
don't answer when she calls.
Right.
I don't want to talk to that one.
She's going to text out the link to everyone you know for the do not call list. Yeah.
All right. Darius has his hand raised.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm with Keller Williams in Lincoln. But, another good thing that I've been doing, just like to get conversations started on, with people that you might not even think of as like a client, is even if you do a showing, if you take a couple pictures, just throw those in the, the chat and just say, hey, look what I showed this weekend. People usually get interested and say, that's beautiful. And, they'll usually pick up on a conversation like that. And that's what I was doing with a couple of my clients from, my post that I posted on Facebook earlier.
Yeah.
That's great. And Erin's right. People always want to talk about real estate. Always. I don't care if it's, hey, did you see that crazy HGTV show of how they flipped this house in like 3 days or sold it for, $1 million? Real estate's fun. There's real estate. There's so many different aspects to it. I love the idea of calling somebody that lives in a neighborhood that is a really attractive neighborhood that a lot of people want to get into, and just asking, hey, do you know of any of your neighbors that want to sell? Because I know buyers that are just, dying to get into this neighborhood. I love that.
So I just recently, with my 10-4, being new again and trying to get through all of the different things and the different people, what I did was I live in kind of a busy road, older neighborhood. So I went on MLS and I looked up my street, which is a pretty long street, and got everybody's names and addresses, from the public records. And I just sent them, I've been starting to doing my 10 a day cards to them with my business cards, just saying, hi neighbor. I just wanted to let you know that I'm available to help you with any of your real estate needs, selling, buying, or investing. If you'd like to catch up sometime and just chat or talk business, I'd love to hear from you. I wrote them out by hand. So it's taking me time, but it's a good way to kind of connect with my neighbors that, especially in this day and age, we really don't do very often, and I don't have their phone numbers or anything like that. So hopefully something will come of it.
Another thing you can do is you could do a neighborhood letter where you show them what the latest sales have been in the neighborhood, when they sold, how many days on market, what they sold for. And if they're interested in finding out what their property is worth, reach out to you.
It's a great idea.
All right, it's about 2 of 12. Does anybody have any other questions, or are there any scripts that you want to go over?
I was wondering, how would you, like, the last woman was just talking about her neighborhood and reaching out to her neighbors. But if you live in the middle of the city where it's more huge buildings and everything else, how would you, any suggestions on how to reach out to neighbors? I mean, obviously people in your building are a much different thing, but you know, just connecting. Like I have door hangers. Unless I have access into the building, it's just kind of hard to reach out. How would you recommend navigating the city in terms of prospecting?
So what if you were to do, have you thought about doing a mailer, Vivian?
No, but maybe
Where-
that's something I should think of.
So, I mean, if you're talking about living in the city, are you talking about the living in like a big apartment type community, or are these?
I live in Back Bay.
Okay.
So Back Bay is just consists of a bunch of buildings like Fenway.
So is it rental or own?
Both.
Okay.
There's a lot of owners, a lot of condo, mostly high end, luxury living. So
can I suggest? I live in East Boston.
Okay.
I would go to like the row houses, the brownstones, not like the big buildings that you can't get into. But
Okay.
put your door hangers on there, or you know, your business card with a letter in their mailboxes.
Actually, well, you can't put in the mailbox, but I actually did that for the South End, to the row houses.
Right.
Even though one row house could potentially have 3 units in it. You know, each unit is like $4 million. But so I did do that. But, you know, just in terms, I was trying to figure out, how do I get into these luxury buildings all around me to prospect? And the only thing I could come up with was open houses, if something's ever selling in there.
I really recommend doing social media outreach. Make a neighborhood group. Because I've said this before in the group. I live in Fairfield, Connecticut, and we have a neighborhood, a beach neighborhood Facebook page. It's an incredible resource because you will get to know your neighbors more on a personal level, other than just like doing a mailing. You actually get stuff that you would get from a forward conversation. They just share it. So I would really recommend either joining groups that are already existing, or starting one of your own for the neighborhoods that you're trying to outreach to.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I was lucky enough to work with someone over the past weekend in an open house, and I went from 0 clients to about 5 in 3 seconds. So I have 5 buyer clients right now. And I think 4 of them or 3 of them are looking for, obviously, in the same area and the same kind of property. Now, I don't know what everyone's experience is with that and what they can share about how you treat each and every one of those potential buyers if you're looking at same or similar properties. And I apologize for the dinging. I can't get this off my computer.
So
round 2. Yeah.
I think I'm trying to understand the question. So that's going to happen. You're going to work with clients that are looking in the same area for the same type of thing. You can say, I'm going to come at this a couple different ways. You can say that you've seen the property. Like if you go to the property with, me today and you see it with someone else tomorrow, you can say, oh, I've shown this property. I'm familiar with it.
Okay.
You can say that.
Okay.
But you wouldn't necessarily, because you want to show that you're an expert and you know the area, right? I'm familiar with this property. I've been in it, whatever. But you're not going to say I'm working with someone else. And, because you could potentially present offers for both of your clients or all 4 of them on the same property. That could happen. So, you know,
Don't forget when you guys take a listing and you're working with when you're working with a multitude of unrep buyers, it's going to be the same thing. And Erin and I remind our agents all the time, when you're sitting at a kitchen table, you should always be viewing it from 3 different lenses. What would this go for in the open market conventionally? What would this go for to my investors? And what would my family pay for this? Like as an investor, as a personal investor, if I'm sitting down as a real estate agent, dude, you're always in competition with the humans you're working with.
Yeah. And there's
maybe Waldron Productions is going to buy it for his great grandkids, right? Like you gotta always be in that mindset. So you're doing nobody a disservice, because if you're rating those 5 people you ran into, Maddie, and 2 of them are A's, 2 of them are B's, and one of them is a C based on yesterday's conversation. You throw a slow pitch softball to the 2 A's, and whoever's wicked smart meets you there first. They're first in line. It's not your fault, right? It's like the end of Goodwill Hunting. It's not your fault, dude. You got to present information to these people. You treat them equally. You represent both contracts expediently and get them over to the listing agent. And whoever gets there first and hustles, they win.
Okay.
What happens if you do have 2 clients who want to make an offer and somehow they find out about it and they're going to be concerned it's a conflict of interest and they're going to question your loyalty to them?
Thank you, Jonna. That was kind of like my question.
Perfect. I'm advising them this. I'm the same person. I'm advising both of them with the same information, and I'm making sure, because if Erin has me and Maddie as clients, she's still going to say to Maddie, "You're in a multiple offer situation." She's still going to say to me and my family, "You're in a multiple offer situation," right? I agree that some people might be like, well, I've been in relationship longer with the Waldrons than with the Lindsays. I really want to see them get this win. Nobody's license is worth that.
No. Yeah, but also you have 2 clients making an offer. You know, one is higher than the other.
It does it. So at the end of the day, the price is not the only thing that sellers make decisions on. And there are so many things that go into what an offer can be crafted and what an offer is going to be acceptable for a seller. It could be timeline, it could be price, it could be waiving different things, it could be all kinds of stuff, right? So the type of financing, the particular lender that you're working with, right? There's so many pieces, and your offers are not going to necessarily be the same because you're dealing with 2 different people, right? Someone's going to put down this for a deposit. Someone's going to put down that. This person has a place to sell. This person doesn't. This person can, be flexible for their closing date. This person needs to be in somewhere in 30 days, right? This person's this person's asking above or below, right? So the offer itself is going to be crafted differently depending on your individual client. You would be in a situation potentially if you were advising them against each other or something, but you wouldn't do that, right? Because you're ethical and you have real estate license, and you're not going to risk your license for one deal, right? So you're not going to do that. So you're going to advise them with the same professionalism, and they're 2 totally separate contracts, right? My buyer's agency with Jonna has nothing to do with my buyer's agency with Matthew. Only difference is right now they might be looking at the same property, right?
I would argue too, and I see one of our great agents, Sue Doyle's on the call. I would argue that when it comes to like a heritage property, it's been in this family for thousands of years, and they're about to sell, more often than not, and you heard me stress highest and cleanest, the finances when it comes to heritage properties become more emotional transactions, and the finances will sometimes rarely outweigh the emotion attached to it. So when they see that another family's moving in and stuff like that. So it's not always money, and you would never share that anyway. All you're going to share is it's a multiple offer situation.
So now if you have a house that's listed at 300 and client A goes in and says, hey, I want to put an offer for 305. And then 2 hours later, client B says, I want to put an offer for 304. How do you think that looks?
That's a confidentiality thing, and it comes down to, you're an advisor. You can't tell them, well, you need to, someone I know just bid 305, you need to bid 306. You can't tell them that. Right. You're an advisor.
Yep.
You say, if you think that, if that's your best offer and that's what you want to put in, then that's what we'll go ahead with.
Thanks, Matt.
And also, don't forget to check with your brokers, because each state can handle that differently.
Correct.
my 3 states have 3 different ways of handling that. So you don't want to risk getting in trouble with 14 people because you've now kind of messed that up. So check with your brokers, ask the question, find out how your state or however many states deal with that. It's important.
So important part, just keep every transaction completely separate,
They're all in a steel box.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. All right.
You just think of your fiduciary responsibilities to each client, right?
Okay.
You know, they're all separate and you just keep them that way.
A great question to ask too, when you know that somebody's becoming, persnickety about price, and they know they're in a multiple state offer. Doyle knows what I mean. They know they're in a multiple offer situation. We got real comfortable asking, hey, Mr. Lindsay, I appreciate this. I just want to ask you for clarity. When the sellers make a decision, and we find out that another party made an offer for $1 more, will you sleep okay? Right? Like that's where I did this with my brother-in-law. And it was about the sale of a dock in Stratford. Doyle knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And he lost over $1,000 because there was being sold for 25 grand and he wouldn't budge. And the guy who has the dock with his boat parked right next to my brother and the one that he rents, which I love, it got it for 26,000.
Wow.
$1,000 worth of aggravation. And we didn't know that, but I was just saying, listen, if this is your highest and cleanest, Ken, I love you. Are you going to be okay? What if we lose by $1? Will you sleep tomorrow? Yup. He's not sleeping.
Out of all the stuff that they forget,
Yep.
they never forget that.
I want my $2. It's like Better Off Dead, the paper boy. I want my $2.
Well, I know we lost on, it wasn't my deal, but when I had my team, one of the agents, she wrote her client great offer, but they didn't win the day. The offer that won was like that heritage property that Tim is talking about. They ultimately, the sellers chose buyers because one of the partners, used to hang out at that house growing up and was friends with their kids. And they liked the idea that their, kid's friend was going to buy the house. And it wasn't about the most money because it wasn't the highest offer. So there's always different situations for everybody. So
you have to be willing to call the listing agent and ask.
Yeah.
Right?
Great
So
questions. Yep.
when my investors won on this huge property, it was because the listing agent had told me maybe told me a little too much, but I had already kind of figured a bunch of that stuff out. Medical equipment in the living room and stuff like that. Elderly couple, very frail, very weak, and they had an entire basement, an entire attic, and a huge shed filled with stuff. Yep. Every family member had left their stuff at that house forever. And when I asked my clients, you guys are going to have dumpsters there anyway, not that I mentioned the dumpsters, but would they be okay with tagging things that they want to take with them and having the ability to literally leave everything else? And the listing agent got back to me and said, they are crying. And I'm like, oh God, I hope in a good way. They were so relieved they didn't know how to tackle, and they couldn't afford to hire somebody to get all that stuff out. And we were, we then upped our offer, even though they were willing to take it at an amount, but we didn't want to take advantage of them either. It's more than we think. There's a lot of money floating around. It's not always about money. So call the listing agent, find out what's important, and cater it the best you can to that.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
I think it's 12:11. We probably have time for one more question, and then
Mary has her hand up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, okay, sure. And I'll try to be quick. Just kind of this has been a great conversation. My concern, it's like Matt was talking about having multiple buyers at this point. If I had a couple of buyers, and I'm working with buyers now, we've been working together for over 1.5 years. and trying to buy in a community near where I live. And if I had another buyer come in, I think I would feel badly if I knew that one made an offer and it was only, say, 2,000 less than the other. I think the other reason is they would find out, because literally I know with these current buyers I'm working on, when we've lost out, we've put in multiple offers. As soon as the thing sells, she's very technical, you know, she's very competent. And she'll come right back to me and say, oh my goodness, Mary, that sold for such and such. And it's usually far over what she offered. But I think my concern is that the two people, especially in this community, would even know each other. And I just, you know, I want to be transparent and all, but I think I would feel that it would be very difficult to serve both, like knowing that one came in just 2,000 under the other, especially if the lower offer said, you know, Mary, do you think this is a strong offer? So just wondering how you address that. And you've explained things well so far, but I think I'm still worried that it could happen.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how many agents are on here that have had that situation.
Oh, okay.
Like, raise your hand if it's actually happened to you multiple times. I don't think it's like something.
Oh,
that
good.
happens every
Okay.
day.
Yeah.
So
I've had it.
Yeah,
Many-
but how many
many
times,
times.
Sue?
Over whatever it's been, 13 years or whatever,
Yeah.
probably 8, 9, 10 times.
Oh.
And how, right. So it's not like a common thing. It's not happening every day. So, you know, if you find yourself in that situation, certainly you could talk to your broker about how to handle it, or your TL, right? If you're really uncomfortable, you could refer one of your clients to another agent in your office, right? So there's solutions to that.
Okay.
But I don't leave this call today thinking like, oh man, I'm going to be representing everyone, then they're all going to be writing offers on this one house, right?
Yeah, great.
You know, certainly, as Tim's point earlier, if you're the listing agent on a property and someone comes in as an unrepresented buyer, you could be presenting the buyer offer to the seller, right? And you're now representing potentially both. If you take them on as a buyer client. So, you know, figuring out what you need to do in terms of your business to feel comfortable. At the end of the day, we can't disclose what's going on with anybody's deals to anybody else. So it's our fiduciary responsibility to keep that information protected. So if you were working with those two individuals, they shouldn't know that you're necessarily working with them, right?
Okay.
And don't forget, within your states too, you want to confirm that
so
you have
check
agreement
your-
from both parties that they're both agreeing to dual disclosed agency as well.
Prior to a purchase and sale.
I would
Right, right.
abandoning my client if, like, I mean, like we were talking, I think originally about it, like we meet two people at an open house or something, but like, say I have a client just arbitrarily, and then I also have this other arbitrary client over here, and they both happen to like the same house. I can't be like, well, I got to choose between you two now, and you're on your own.
Right.
No, you'd refer them. You'd set them up. You'd make that decision based on your state laws, and maybe your broker. I don't know if your brokerage has separate rules, but you'd set them up and not abandon them. You'd make sure that they were in good hands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saying
I'd abandon them, but you shouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't know. I think I'd be able to handle it. It's not too hard not to speak about other transactions with people.
And
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think if
unless it's
anybody-
the
oh,
same
sorry.
transaction, right? Like, and then it's dual disclosed, and then you're whatever the rules are for you and your brokerage and your state and all of that kind of stuff. But you know, you're not going to go back to your seller and be like, hey, so I know all this information about the buyer. You're not. That's not what you're going to do. So you're going to
And
present
the other
offer.
part that comes into it, and it's not written anywhere, but it just seems to be the way that it should work wherever you are, is for agency purposes, how many hats are you wearing?
Right.
2 can be okay if you know what you're doing and you know what's okay to do and not. I have not seen a situation ever that wearing 3 hats in one transaction has ever gone fine.
Oh,
And
I'm
that's
not-
from a commission level.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about if you have I'm not talking about being a selling agent. I'm talking about
No. I get it. It's just kind of as a reminder, because people will come to me saying, well, I've listed this house and the open house produced an unwrapped buyer. And then now one of my buyers is interested. And it's like, okay, I'm going to repeat the same thing. 2 hats, if you know exactly what you can and cannot do, and you're not impulsively talking about stuff, can work. But I'm just going to always stick with the opinion that 2 hats can work. 3 hats, it's going to go sideways at some point and you're going to regret it.
If you have 3 hats on, you're probably on Bourbon Street and it never ends well. Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Right.
That's totally fine.
So on that note,
Yes, kids.
we're at 12:17. Go crush the day, make your calls, set some appointments.
And we'll see you right back here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If you enjoyed today, make sure you go into KW evals and you thank the Lord for Heidi for doing a great job today. Heidi Kelly was our instructor today. Sam Alpern was her co-coach, and we'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Excellent.
Sam, Erin, Tim,
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
It was wonderful.
Mary, I missed the training yesterday. I was wondering, is that going to be on the Facebook?
It is. So it's already there and I tagged it and put it in the unit. So today is session 9. So it's going to be session 7 in unit 8.
Unit 8. Okay, so they're in units. When you say that, I'm sorry, I'm not Facebook or internet savvy.
No problem. If you go into, if you go into Facebook, the Ignite Facebook group, when you're looking at the banner, sorry, I'm picturing it in my mind. That's why I'm closing my eyes. If you, you're picturing the banner. Underneath the banner, there's a menu of things. It should be the second or third choice underneath. It'll say units. You can click that, and then the first unit is going to be just an introduction to Ignite and the toolkit. So all the things in the toolkit are in there. And then unit 2 is our first class and so forth. So they're off by 1 number. So like I said, yesterday was session 8. Session 7 of Ignite, but it's going to be in unit 8.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you can't find it, like message me or tag me in a post or something on the group, and I'll try to direct you to it.
Erin, the way that you organize all of these things into having them available is just, I don't know how you do it. So thank you. No, really, it's so helpful. You're amazing.
It's great. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Everyone, have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.